I realized I probably didn't get the sound right on that, did I? But, oh well. So, greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes. So, with us tonight, we have the Lone Wanderer, Kitty the Atheist, Auntie Jen, and Godless Sewing. So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Great.
Better now.
Okay,
I've had a shit morning.
As the unofficial co-host of the Purple Rhymes with Orange show, I would request that we talk about Hitchcock for at least 10 minutes because Jen knows I still watch Hitchcock movies to this very day. And being trapped in the house, like I was watching Foreign Correspondent like a week ago. I love Passenger 41. Like the old Hitchcock movies are amazing and they make you think.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I had to hit on this one because I really, remember the Alfred Hitchcock Presents TV show.
Absolutely.
That was one of the things that came on every night after the news when I was growing up.
I just realized doing the sort of psycho thingy action. You know the whole Trump thing where he looked like he was dildoing himself in the mouth could also have been done with psycho knives.
Yes, it could.
Yeah.
Do you know my mom does not want to be called mother because of that movie?
Really?
And she'll tell you to your face. It creeped her out so much. She does not. Moms with a Z at the end, but she does not want anyone to call her mother. She thinks it's the creepiest thing on planet Earth.
Oh, mother.
Because he's always saying mother,
Yeah.
That's another great movie.
Oh gosh.
So next time she's annoying you, are you going to go? Are you okay, mother?
Well, I told her I won't call her mother if she stops saying God bless.
Well, it's compromise,
That's a good compromise, though. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a Catholic. She'll never let it go. So I just chalk it up as old age and leave her alone. She's never gonna let that one go. It hurts her feeling.
Nerdy just cancelled you.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Okay.
It is a good movie, Psycho, though.
Yeah, no, it was actually the first Hitchcock I ever watched. Was Psycho, and then The Birds.
Birds is.
I've only seen bits of The Birds. I've never seen the whole movie.
Stay there, Arthur. It was funny because when they were doing the movie setup and stuff and practicing, they had the lead actor, I can't remember who it was, the man, and he was terrified of birds. They had him put his arm inside of a cage, and he's like, "Stay there, Arthur, stay there." And then he sets all the birds off, just pissing them off, and they're all going over his arm. And he's like, "Oh, Mr. Hitchcock, let me out, let me out, let me out," because he wanted to get like total fear from them. I saw the B-roll; it was hilarious.
Oh, that's awesome. Have any of you guys seen Rear Window?
Yes, years ago. I can't remember it though. I know I saw it.
So
Yeah,
that
I
movie
haven't
with
seen any of them
Johnny Depp.
recently.
What's that, Bert?
What's that?
I haven't seen any of them recently, so yeah, a lot of them. It's hard to pick individual scenes.
So he's a cameraman, basically, who what is his name? Oh, James Stewart. So basically, he breaks his leg, and he starts this giant conspiracy about his neighbor. And I'm going to tell you, I have a security camera. I do the same thing. As human beings, we put the ending to other people's stories. And that's what the movie's about, is always being suspicious of somebody. And, this person was just bored. with a great camera, and that's me sitting at home like, oh, what is my neighbor doing? Why are they getting so many packages? What are they building? It's when you're suspicious of your neighbor.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the movie. I have seen almost all of these. Topaz, North by Northwest, with a very famous scene of Cary Grant running through the the cornfield. No, he almost gets hit by a plane. To Catch a Thief. A lot of these have been redone too. Dal M for Murder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They have redone a lot of them, and I really don't like generally when they redo classic movies. It's usually a mistake.
Yeah.
Depends on the movie. There have been some good ones, but yeah, generally
there
speaking,
have been a few exceptions, but in general, no.
The problem with the older movies is that they had amazing cinematography. Jen, I am so sorry for cutting you off. You're beautiful. I will stop.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll remember my point.
I was about to go off on Strangers on a Train. I have that on DVD too. So a long time ago.
Well, my point was about what Perp said about redoing movies. I don't have a problem when it's like you're doing an adaptation of a book and somebody else wants to do their own adaptation of it, because that's no different to when different plays were put on, but slightly differently with different directors. That's fine. What I have an objection to is when somebody comes out with a brand new, freaking brilliant idea and the script is particularly written for the movie, like something like Princess Bride, and then somebody else goes, I can do that better. Fuck off.
The problem with the older movies too is that the cinematography is amazing. A lot of these shots, a lot of, like in Foreign Correspondent, it's an action movie, you know, and the plane crashes and everything, but you physically see the plane crash because they probably dropped it in the studio somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
but it's better than anything that they could remake. Like, it's just great as is, you know.
And with Alfred Hitchcock, a lot of it's particularly effective because it is black and white, and he understood how to use shadows.
Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's another thing. When I watch these movies, sorry, I'm so ADD that these movies shut me up. I love it.
The actress that played in Psycho, for like the rest of her life, she couldn't take a shower at all. She had to bath and have the door open. She couldn't take a shower again after that scene. You know, in the shower.
I don't blame her. It's not very. My grandfather was in D-Day, and he never flew in a plane again after D-Day. He took my grandma around the world on cruise ships.
Hey, why not?
But he fulfilled his promise. He said he'd take her around the world, and he did. But he never flew in a plane ever again. So, you know, I could see how that traumatizing that is. You know.
Yeah, I'd be like, honey, I'm meeting you in the next country. You take the boat. You know, I'm taking a plane. I'll meet you there.
They have some awesome pictures of being on cruises, but I like half the time I think they're swingers, but I think it was just the era. Like they cruised from the 50s all the way to the 70s, so you can see through the eras, you know.
Hey, they may have been.
You know, people kept their mouths shut back then, so you'd never know. Like I would, I'm too mouthy for all that. I'd have
they couldn't talk. I'd have a YouTube something.
Yeah, I'd have a channel.
Never true a word said by Will.
That is something I wouldn't be able to see, but I'm too prude for all that. So you have nothing to worry about.
I've done it. If it wasn't for the COVID, I'd probably be doing it now. I got invited to the parties, but not doing group events yet.
Just wear a mask.
I went and voted today. It was brilliant. Because pre-poll a day before, and there was like 15 people showing up to vote at the pre-poll place. It was brilliant.
Well, are they doing mail-in voting down there?
We have mail-in voting, but mail-in voting has actually finished. That's already got to be done. But they started pre-polling like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and daily. There's only a handful of polling centers around the place. So like a large population center might have one pre-polling place, but you've had 4 weeks to vote in. So you just show up at the place, get your name ticked off, and fill out the form.
Are you going to vote out? Is this the vote out ScoMo?
No, unfortunately, it's not. This is for our state election.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Which I hope the
heavy
guy
vote.
who's in stays in, because the alternative choice is an absolute dickhead.
Better
I've
than
been
we
watching.
So
you
you
guys'
only have
videos.
two choices still. It's either or.
There's only two parties that actually put up enough candidates that they can possibly win, so it'll be one of two.
Yeah.
Familiar story.
Unlike you guys, though, our entire parliament is not just filled with those two parties. You will get minor parties which get elected in certain seats and in the Senate and things like that. So it's not just the two-party system, but it'll be one of those two parties that actually is the party which has power. So.
Well, that's why I was kind of surprised that you're saying it was one or the other, because I thought that usually you had like 5 candidates.
Yeah, well, we will. I mean, for the particulars, because what happens here is, of course, we don't vote for who our premier is going to be. Like premier's like your governor, but we just vote for the candidate in our area, and if his party wins, then of course they become whichever party out of all the parties gets the most people in the lower house is the party that wins and gets to choose who the premier is. So basically, we're voting for technically you're voting for the party, but 9 times out of 10 you're voting for a personality. People who are full on party lines vote for the personality, because I had no idea who any of the candidates were who I was voting for in my area, but I knew who some of the parties were, so it was very easy to pick who went on the end of the ballot, because we have preferential, so I have to vote. There were 8 candidates, so I had to vote 1 to 8. It was very easy to put 7 and 8 in first, because we have One Nation, which is basically our far right party. They're far right. And then we had a party which is no mandatory vaccinations.
Okay. So
Oh, wow.
So that came second last for me, because the far right can just fuck off.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. But there's even a party over here that wants Wexit, Western Australia, to exit the rest of Australia, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but I do disagree with some of their other policies.
Well, so would you guys be 2 different countries?
Which would actually be kind of cool. The main reason, if you talk to somebody like Chris about it, he'll go, "Oh, WA could never manage it on their own, etc., etc." The thing is, Western Australia puts more money into the national coffers than any other state, and we have the smallest population.
Yep.
Not the smallest population. Sorry, there are 3 states with 2 states and 1 territory with smaller population. And 2 territories with smaller population than Western Australia. So there's 7 states. So we're the 5th smallest state, and we actually put in more money than everybody else into the national coffers and get less return for it on percentage that we put in than any other state. So effectively, Western Australia would be better off financially, a bit like California is with.
I was about to say we pay for a lot of stuff that people
we're like
don't realize.
California. Hey, and we're West Coast as well.
There you go.
I was thinking that the entire time you were talking, how ironic.
We're like California or West Coast, yeah.
No, that's why when people in America talk trash about California, they should really look into where my tax dollars go. They go to everybody else.
Yeah, it's the same here, but it's not so much because of the tax from the individuals, but there is more industry in Western Australia than in any other state, because the primary resource industries, the farming industries and things like that, there's way more of it. There's more investment back into that infrastructure in Western Australia, even though we're one of the low. Well, what's it? In the same position, like I said, the fifth most populous state. So, but it's still the case that we produce more more income for the country than anywhere else. Mostly because the largest proportion of the iron ore, uranium, gold, and everything else is all in Western Australia. It is the largest state as well, which does kind of help. But
I remember when that all blew up, and they had like stories on 60 Minutes how everyone was going there to work, but no one had any houses, so people were sleeping in tents. There was just not enough. There wasn't enough.
So it's most of the heavy industry.
Cool. Yeah, we've got the industry, so that's why we do. Whereas you've got other states with population and fuck all industry, and they go, "Oh, we're better." Yeah, you guys cost us money.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, and that's the way it goes in the U.S. Is that the people who are whining about taxes are mostly from the poorest states that are sucking off money from the other states.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like I love.
I'm not saying that the more populous states are poor; they still contribute a fair amount, but not just per head of population. In overall amount, Western Australia include.
No, I mean in the U.S. you can clearly see which states the most taxes are collected in, and which states get the most federal subsidies.
And New York,
California is supporting Mississippi and Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. And New York is supporting like.
What happens from the dividend control is for some of the income. It's weird. Our taxation systems are kind of weird. Most of it goes to the federal. It goes directly to the federal government, and then it's divvied back out to the states. But it's based on the population of the states, not on how much each states contribute.
I know I've already asked you this, but are your cops federal or local?
Okay, we have federal police and state police. So there are state-based police officers that are employed by the state and funded through the state, and they are they're all. So there's none that belong to particular counties or anything like that. There's no local sheriff or anything like that. All the police force in Western Australia is run by the West Australian government.
So if I'm a household,
and paid for by the West Australian government. But we also have federal police that are over and above, that are a level up above that are paid for federally. But they're more like your FBI.
Okay, so you have one police force.
Two.
Yeah, pretty much for Western Australia. Yeah. So we've got the state police force, and then you've got the federal police, which is your FBI, and above that we've got ASIO, which is our CIA.
Just here we have the highway patrol, the sheriffs, the LAPD, Homeland Security, which has jurisdiction here. We have all kinds of agencies, and that's not just to mention the FBI or anything else like that.
And you forgot the federal marshals.
And
the marshals too. They have the largest.
Unlike your CIA, which is incredibly secretive, so that they fuck up, you generally don't find out about it. ASIO fucks up, and everybody knows that they've done it.
Yep.
There was a Bali hotel case back in the early 80s where ASIO were doing this sting on, I think it was a drugs thing, and I don't remember all the details because I was quite young at the time. Anyway, they busted down the wrong door.
Oh.
Did all this fucking damage and all this shit because they were doing this international espionage, and they fucked it all up. They completely fucked it. And of course, by the next day, it was all in the newspapers. ASIO fucks up.
Hey, speaking of Bali, did that girl ever get out of jail for the drugs? What was her name?
Chappelle Corby?
Yeah,
Chappelle
she get out of jail?
Well, no, she's in jail
famous
in Australia. But she got transferred back to Australia, yeah.
Okay.
How's it going, dog? She's famous.
Hello.
Hey.
I don't.
But speaking of famous Australian woman, you see they found the foot of that woman who stole that money?
The foot of her?
Yeah, they found
just
the foot washed. Just a foot, so she could still be alive. Yeah.
She could be. Wouldn't it have been hilarious if they'd found the foot of Harold Holt?
Yep. But
we know how to treat our prime ministers that we don't like in Australia. We feed them to the fucking sharks.
Yep.
I
Isn't
mean,
that cannibalism? You're feeding the sharks to the sharks.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
can think of a few American politicians that would make good chum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Trump would have been terribly palatable.
No, too much fat.
I think it
And
would have
I'm
been more the
pretty
issue
sure
of
Ted
being
Cruz would
coated in
give them
artificial
cancer.
chemicals.
Sorry,
What's that,
Peps.
Purple?
I was saying I think that with Trump it would have been more the issue of being thoroughly coated in artificial chemicals.
Yeah.
Probably would have
Like I
killed the
said,
shark,
not
but
one-
I would have given it a Medal of Freedom.
Yep.
Thank you for your
Exactly.
service.
If
Yeah,
not,
but eating Trump. Yeah, but eating Trump, at least you won't get scurvy.
Yeah, you know what would have been really cool?
Plenty of
If he'd
citrus.
been killed, if he'd been killed by a stray golf ball, that would have been fucking hilarious. And then they could have coated the golf ball that killed him in gold and put it in the White House trophy cabinet. I think it would have been brilliant.
No, brass it like baby juice.
Can still be arranged.
I mean, did you see the fucking golden idol, the golden calf of Trump
Oh,
wearing
yeah,
fucking
that was
surfer
amazing.
shorts?
That was so repugnant.
Well,
They
and
have
did you
lost
hear
their
after
camera.
that? After he is obviously their featured speaker for the whole convention. Now he has said the Republican Party cannot use his name or likeness in any fundraising.
Well, there's a method to that. It's because he wants to be the kingmaker. He wants all the funds to go through him so he can decide who gets to stay in the party and succeed and who
We've
doesn't.
seen how he does businesses. The funds don't go through him; they go to him and stop there.
I'm still shocked.
He doesn't
that
pay
he
the
was-
people who work for him.
He fleeced his those idiots that followed him. That went to all his Klan rallies. He fleeced all of them the last month he was in office. I'm still shocked. He got millions from them so that he could have a pillow to fall on.
I'm
fucking-
sure the man has no money.
Yeah.
Well, and then he was running this special thing, that was supposedly to pay the cost of all the election challenges, all the court challenges. And, people were sending in their whatever, $100 or whatever they had. And in the fine print, it said that the first $8,000 went to Trump and didn't even go to the fund it was supposed to go to. So it wasn't unless you donated more than $8,000 that any of it went to what you were intending.
Because Trump's a complete swindler.
Of course he is. I'm sure he has no real money of his own. I'm sure he's broke.
Well, he had daddy's money to start off with, didn't he? So
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure that, once all the court cases are over and all the civil suits that he's charged with, that yes, he will be functionally broke.
Yep.
Because he's got I don't know how many civil suits for contractors he never paid for working on his properties.
And at that point, he's just going to start his own political party, do fundraising for the next president, start doing fundraising for the next federal election, and then pull out at the last minute and walk off with all the money.
Yep.
I wouldn't be.
Although he might go through with it, I suppose.
That's how I
I'm
felt
sure
when he
he'd like
ran
to
the
get
first
in
time.
again just because, it gets him the attention. He gets on TV every day.
Yeah.
But that's why I
But he
thought
won't
him
have to
running the
quit
first time was a complete ruse. It was a complete ruse when he ran the first time, and then he accidentally became president.
He wasn't even expecting to win.
No,
when
I didn't.
when they told him, oh, sorry, go ahead, Burbs.
No, I
when they
I
told him-
didn't take it seriously when he ran the first time. I really didn't think many people would vote for him.
Neither did I. When they told him that he won, he said, "Really?" Like he was genuinely shocked.
He
'cause
was
even
shook.
he thought he was going to get mocked.
Yeah.
Okay, now, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I do get a small amount of schadenfreude from the thought that, there's a conspiracy theory that Bill Clinton called up his buddy Donald Trump and was like, hey, can you run for the Republican ticket because, Hillary can beat you, no problem. And just that blowing up in their face. I don't think it really happened, but it is kind of a fun thought experiment,
Yeah. Yep.
They
Absolutely.
both hung
That
out
would
with
make
Jeffrey
an
Epstein.
awesome movie.
It would.
That actually would make a really cool movie.
Wait for the TV.
Yeah, and they
movie.
had that. And they had that conversation at Epstein's rapey island or wherever
Oh
he had.
gosh.
Epstein's Island. That sounds like a bad reality TV show.
Oh, those
What
poor
it was.
kids.
He brought little girls on a island.
I know.
You're not running anywhere. You're not going
Have you
anywhere.
Have you seen some of the names of people that have supposedly been to that island?
Prince,
Like-
what's his face?
Yeah, and Oprah Winfrey is
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nothing Oprah does surprises me.
You know, Heidi Klum apparently. You know, it's who's.
I'm
who.
gonna say something that's semi-controversial, but Oprah only likes rich people.
Yeah.
Oh, of course she does. Of course she does.
So she'll hang out with you, like you know, in the black community, there's a saying of you never see Oprah with poor black people. Like there's rappers and Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx comes to LA and will bail out school systems. You know what? I think there's certain rappers that I think are pieces of crap, but they have bailed out certain school systems. They come back to their community and help out. You know.
Mhm.
Oprah owns just as much property as McDonald's. Oprah, she owns half of California. She owns swashes of land here.
See, I wish John Goodman's wife would come back here. She's from my town.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she went to high school with my mother-in-law, and John Goodman used to have a property just outside of town, but he sold it years ago. Now he moved over. Like I don't know if he's still over there, but I know he has a property on both sides of the causeway. So you know, if he doesn't want to drive the causeway, he'll just stay over the lake. You know, but man, he could
That's
help
crazy.
this town. Yeah.
You know,
I've seen,
funny
go
story. There's a movie theater here in Orlando, and at one point, Kanye West actually showed up at the movie theater, but then rage quit and left because nobody gave a shit that he was there.
I am not surprised though.
Love it. I love it. I hate
He's a
those
psycho.
entitled stars. You know? Yeah. Oh,
Pretty
I'm
much.
sure.
You know what? Kanye West made me feel sorry for Kim Kardashian. That's how crazy
that's a
Kanye West
feat.
is.
That
No,
is a
because
feat.
recently when they got divorced, I was like, I feel her pain because he's insane. Like, regardless of what you want to say about her, she has grifted every 13 to 35-year-old of a certain generation, you know, and she's made billions. And I respect her grifting skills, and she's built a brand, and she has her husband was a psycho. I feel sorry for her.
So they
And
actually
you
get
know,
divorced?
she did try to get fucking nonviolent drug offenders out of prison.
Yep.
And she stood up for him. Because I watch a lot of Christian propaganda, and they call Kanye West an antichrist, and they call Kim Kardashian an antichrist too. But like they showed like really off footage, and she stuck up for him. Like I really, really respect her. Just in that sense, I think she's a blood-sucking vampire, but that's a different story for a different day.
Hey. Some of us vampires aren't all bad.
Exactly. Vampire like
All vampires
Are we
suck.
back on-
Actually,
All
some
right,
of
if we're
them don't,
back on
though,
that-
because isn't there such a thing as supposedly such a thing as a psychic vampire, and they wouldn't suck.
Well, no, they would drain your energy, so in a way, they do still suck. They're just sucking your energy away.
They just have a different suck. They just have a different suck technique.
Exactly.
how many times can we say suck?
They
Suck,
just
suck,
suck from a
suck.
different nozzle.
All I
Oh,
gotta say, if we're talking about vampires, I'm more for the Lost Boys and less for shiny skin.
Yeah.
I know we have this conversation all the time. but
I like True
my
Blood vampires. I
Yeah.
think True Blood vampires are about where it's at. Like, you'll have some that are fucking absolute psychopaths and others that just want to go about living their lives, And the good vampires will care about consent of, their donors, and they don't have to kill in order to survive.
Yeah.
What do you think about the fact that they're going to do a new Blade movie?
I'm offended.
I don't know. Like, unpopular opinion, I actually liked Blade Trinity.
I did
just
too.
because
I like the Blade, all the original Blade
Me
movies.
too.
honestly, I
Oh,
have
yeah.
a soft spot for fucking Ryan Reynolds and him playing Hannibal like he was just brilliant.
Mm.
That movie was awesome. I love Triple H, freaking what's her face. That was a great movie. That was a great movie. I can't
But
remember her name now.
We are getting a new one that's actually in the MCU. So,
But who's
Which-
I'm gonna say it, is the guy playing Blade British?
oh no, he's not. What the hell is his name?
No, I saw the guy and he
Uh,
looks like this British actor.
He actually asked. He asked. He walked into Marvel, into Disney, into Marvel Studios, and asked for the role. He said, "I want to do this. Please let me do it."
Kind of like Samuel L. Jackson with Mace Windu, where he's just
Yeah.
like, and I want a different colored lightsaber. So purple lightsaber became a thing.
Samuel L. Jackson has also said he wants to appear on one of the TV shows.
Oh, like
The Star-
the Disney ones or the Star?
Yeah, the Disney ones.
Oh, the Disney ones. Yeah.
So yeah,
Whoopi
he
Goldberg did that.
wants Mace to show up again. So
Whoopi Goldberg did that when she found out they were making a new Star Trek.
Okay.
She
Yeah,
went in and said that Nichelle Nichols was such an inspiration to her that she had to be part of it.
There you go.
oh yeah, you're talking about next gen. Patrick Stewart actually asked her live on TV to
On The View.
guest on Picard. So yeah, she
That's
was not
great.
expecting it. He just
That was actually a great moment when he asked her.
it really was, because she had tears in her eyes when he asked. 'Cause
Oh
she,
yeah,
he loves playing
Fucking
Guinan, so she was looking forward to
Twilight.
coming back.
and it's Mormon imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Twilight, it makes me angry as a werewolf. That was a bad representation of vampires.
I'm a vampire, and it was a bad representation of vampires. I mean, do
Honestly-
you see how much my skin glows in the light? I mean,
Oh,
fucking
God.
hell.
Honestly, I had to rewind that scene like 5 times to see what the hell she was going about. I'm like, oh, he's got fucking glitter on his face. You know what he's doing? I'm like,
Actually,
that's all?
isn't exactly the way it's described in the books either. The books
No.
are actually better than the movies.
They are, especially if you play the game Spot the Psychoses and try to
Oh,
figure out what's wrong with each of the Cullens. But here's the thing. Like, there's a scene in the second film, and it takes place in the second book, where he decides he wants to kill himself a la Romeo and Juliet because he thinks that Bella is dead.
Yeah.
Spoiler,
Mhm.
she's not. And so he goes to Italy to see the Volturi, which are basically like the cabal controlling the vampires. Like, they are their government, and they maintain the masquerade, and they have say over vampire kind. And his thing is, he's going to force them to kill him because they don't want to kill him because of his special ability. He's going to force them to kill him by revealing himself in the middle of the square. And I'm like, my dude, you're going to take off your shirt and walk out in the sun. Like, people are just going to think you're a one-man pride parade. Like, I see you, I don't think
You're just wearing
vampire.
glitter
I
in the-
think fucking, I think, all right, it's pride. Like, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, I've actually seen
wouldn't
something
work.
like that
Although he
after
could have
I-
revealed himself by demonstrating his abilities in the middle of the square.
Yeah.
I don't mind the idea of vampires that don't necessarily die in the sun. There's been other shows that have done the same thing, but where they are severely limited in their abilities whilst they're in the sun. So they're more like weak humans in the sun,
Yeah.
but they get extra powers when the sun's not there affecting them. So
Right, now,
so basically, the thing is, the less sunlight they have on them, the more powerful they become.
As Angel pointed
The-
out, it's all a matter of degrees. Even moonlight is reflected sunlight.
Yes, but there's
Yeah.
less of it under moonlight. So that those
I
vampires
love
are
that
actually
movie.
stronger on moonless nights.
If I may add, the whole sunlight vulnerability is pure Hollywood.
mhm.
There's actually
Oh.
no legendary that has anything about vampires and sunlight.
No, But
It's
even
the
in the original
first-
Dracula books, Dracula could walk around during the day.
Yeah, and it's the first instance of vampires in sunlight is the silent film Nosferatu.
Yes.
I have that.
Well,
That's
didn't that
still a
also
good
introduce the thing that they can't come in unless you ask as well?
movie.
I'm not sure where that one comes from.
Because that's certainly not in Dracula either. Because
Right.
I mean, Dracula walks in wherever he damn well pleases.
But see, now I'm reminded of that scene from the start of the Minions movie where they're like happy 300 to the vampire and open the curtains. They're like,
Yeah.
yay! I was like, oh. But they
But
just
there-
can't-
I must admit, I'm a lot happier with the idea of sunlight that affects vampires than night. Oh, poop.
Yeah, that thing about they can't come in unless they're invited. You know, that was clearly a Christian thing that was put in there.
I thought that was
To
an
make the
old,
Christians sleep better at night.
I thought that
Well-
was an old Romanian folktale.
Oh, does it have some deeper root?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the old Eastern Bloc.
Hmm.
But I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, one of the things I've always wondered about is if they can come in if they're invited. What if there's a mat in front of your door that says welcome? Does that count?
It's like, yeah, this is welcome, so, you know. Love it. Oh, gosh.
It might take the official owner of the place, because sometimes it takes like whoever officially or legally owns the place to invite them in. If you're the
Yeah.
proprietor and you lay down the mat, maybe that works. I don't know.
Well, okay, so then none of these teenagers can invite them in without their parents' permission?
Apparently.
Yep.
Didn't they touch on that in
Suppose-
True Blood? You know, like you could rescind the invitation and then it had
Yeah.
to be the homeowner for it to count.
I didn't believe
And they were mystically compelled to leave.
Yep.
When they
Yeah.
were uninvited.
They'd literally be yeeted out the door.
Well, all I can say is I've never been stopped by a door that had a welcome mat. So hey, it might work.
Yeah, that's just, I forgot that picture was there, and I'm still logged in on Will's account.
Oh, what happened? What happened? Was it good?
Sorry,
Oh, you put up my picture or what?
Yeah,
We
I
had
did.
different
I
ones.
put up your picture.
I'm on a different computer, so we have different ones.
Oh, so I can actually have my own.
No, but I'm on a.
Oh, you're not
completely
logged in with
different
your main account there. Okay.
No.
I might
This
change
is
your
my
Brokeback
hide in
one
the
to
corner.
Pump Show logo.
I have a real funny story about Brokeback Mountain.
Why you gotta mess with
when that-
Brokeback Mountain?
Rip Heath Ledger. Ugh.
No, not gonna mess with it. When that came out, there was that and something else. I can't remember what was at the pictures, but I wasn't with my boyfriend at the time. Him and his family went out to go to the movies, and they couldn't see anything but Brokeback Mountain because that was the only one that had an age restriction, for his little brother, and they didn't know what it was about. And they're like fundy Christians. And his dad refuses to walk out of like cinemas or anything. It was hilarious. They sat through the whole thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh man.
That was gonna be my next
That's
question.
fun.
Yeah, I have never seen the movie. I've never watched it.
The last
you need to
20
watch
minutes
it.
of that movie will actually make
it's
you cry. It's a
heartbreaking.
good.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
I actually liked that movie. It took me a while to watch it because there was so much disparagement over it. Plus, it's a love story, and I'm really not fond of love stories in general. But oh yeah, the way it ended, I was like, oh, I love this movie. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
It is really good.
When it
is
comes
really
to justice, when it's something about justice, I'm in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard. It's a good movie.
It's a very good movie.
I don't quote it like The Big Lebowski, but it's up there.
I'm telling you, Will, we're having White Russians as soon as we're in the same location.
I don't know. I don't know if I like Black Russians or White Russians better.
But it's got to
So
be
what's
half and
a-
half.
What's a Black Russian?
The Black Russian has Coca-Cola in it. You know, and
Oh,
it doesn't,
wow.
yeah, like, and it doesn't. I don't.
I thought it was
recall-
coffee.
Is it coffee? Coffee liqueur?
I think it's coffee. Well, because like you cream, like
Yeah, we had back home. We had these RTDs, you know, ready to drink. You know, want like fizzy pop kind of alcohol things, and it had the Kahlua in it and some coffee liqueur, which I think Kahlua is coffee liqueur, isn't it?
Yeah, Kahlua is like coffee flavored
Yeah.
alcohol.
And it also had Coca-Cola in it.
weird. Like, because I know in Australia they have like rum and cokes like in a can. Like you get the Bundy rum and cokes, and like I still want to try one. So Jen, you better smuggle one for me if you come visit the States. But
can you bring me some Woodstock bourbon and cola? Jen.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is Coke instead of. Why
There
am
you
I
go.
thinking coffee?
Well, coffee.
Coffee?
Well, because Kahlua does
Kahlua
have a
is-
coffee flavor.
Louis has
That's
Yeah.
true.
Louis tastes of coffee.
Kahlua is the only vaguely coffee flavored thing I will touch. A shot of Kahlua and hot chocolate. That's about it.
Ooh, that's good.
I
Ooh,
promise
Will's
you,
needing a
Kitty, when I
nebulizer.
come over to the US next, we will definitely have a drink together, but it'll probably be a
Yes.
drink because I've severely reduced my drinking because of seeing
I
what's happened with my brother. So
Are you doing okay?
I
Will?
drink like 1 or 2 drinks a year at
Yeah,
that. So
that's me
like
now.
if I have a drink, if I go out for drinks, I'm having 1 drink and I'm nursing it, and like I don't do that very
Yeah.
often. So
Well, I've been nursing this thing since like 5 o'clock.
are you okay,
yesterday.
babe?
he had to bust out the nebulizer.
Yeah.
I know I have one for my
yeah,
son.
so-
Yep.
Yeah. Luckily, I've never had to go on the nebulizer. Although they did actually.
Yeah,
No, I
I'm
tell a
gonna
lie.
have to-
My doctor made me do breathing treatments.
Yeah, my fiance
I'm gonna
had
have
to use it every day, and sometimes a couple of times if she started having a reaction to something.
You know what? Honestly, it's old age. I smoked cigarettes for 20 years, and it's just catching up to me now. I'm a born asthmatic, so I kind of did it to myself. You know, so I don't.
We need to make a drinking game. Every time Will says I'm a born asthmatic, take a shot.
You would be wasted.
So gross. I'm
So
not
because of
thinking
that,
about anything I
you know
have
the shitty
right
thing
now.
is, I've never had fully functioning lungs, so I wouldn't even know what it's like to be healthy. I would have no idea what it's like to, have real lungs, so to speak.
It's like my son doesn't even have asthma, but he needs a nebulizer because whenever he gets sick, it always settles in his chest and he gets like that really croupy cough and he has trouble breathing. So I have the nebulizer with the albuterol whenever he gets a cold or flu, which is why I've been so neurotic about COVID. And like I worry about my son's health and safety because, again, it settles in his chest and COVID goes after your lungs bad. But then even myself, back in 2010, I got swine flu and I spent a week in the hospital needing constant, like, inhaled steroids because I couldn't breathe. And, like, swine flu is nothing compared to COVID as far as how much it attacks the lungs. So, like, I'm terrified of getting COVID.
That's why I've been hiding in the house for a full year. Because
me
if
too.
I get it, I'm done. I'm just done. So, like I always say, if you saw me when I go out in public, you would laugh. Like, I'm
You're
fully
like,
long sleeve,
yeah.
gloves on, mask, double mask, hat.
Hey,
I'm not
you gotta look
around.
out for yourself.
Look like the Unabomber. Yeah.
The cool thing is, though, is that everybody looks like the Unabomber here. Because at first I was really self-conscious. I'm like, it was weird to me to walk into a bank wearing a mask.
I know, right? And in the beginning, they were
against
like, "No, get out of here with that." It's like,
Yeah, that's so against my programming. And then, as the year has progressed, because it's been a year now, I feel weird without my mask. Like I'm searching myself, like wallet, keys, mask when I leave the house.
Yeah.
I'll
so
continue
when
to
you're-
mask even after
So
this.
next time you're feeling me up, Will, you're going to just tell me you're searching checking for everything. You've got everything before we go out or something.
I'm going to search you like the cops.
Straight eagle, bitch. Straight down.
Next thing I hear this thwack, thwack.
No, the worst part about that
I
is
have-
black, and the doctor will be in soon after the. I'm like, oh my god.
I have sex cuffs. I have real sex cuffs where the latches are on the side, just
So
in
you
case
get out of
the
them?
person scares you. Yeah, exactly. Just in case they're role playing cuffs. But yeah,
See, there is nothing at all you could do to make me feel comfortable with any kind of bondage. I just no. Like it's PTSD. It's too traumatic. Like I couldn't do handcuffs or
Me
You know.
too.
Even talking about it, I'm just like, oh my god.
Well, yeah, certainly if
me,
you've had a negative history with it.
it's
You
a
know,
loss of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you tie me up, I will gnaw my limb off like a goddamn Wolverine to escape.
I get weird if anybody even drives my truck and I'm in the passenger seat. So I don't think I can handle being tied up.
Well, speaking of which, just to fuck my husband off the other day, I put my hand on the shifter because he hates anyone else putting their hand on the shifter. In the car. He was like, I just put it down casually, and you could see him. He's like looking out of the corner of his eyes, like, "Stop it, stop it!" And I'm just like stroking it. What's wrong?
You start stroking it.
There was
I
one
was.
time though I saved a car accident by grabbing a steering wheel because somebody was lighting up a cigarette and not paying attention,
Oh,
and
God.
and we were making a left turn and they were not paying attention and we almost clipped somebody.
Oh god.
Lona, I love the fact that you and I both went with our left hand to do that, which is natural for us
I
people who
know.
learn to drive on the correct side of the road.
And that's gonna fuck me up though when I'm properly driving because, like, I know that the gas and everything is on the same side. Whichever you are, like the gas is
It's
there,
still
but-
your accelerator is still your right foot, and
exactly. But the thing that's fucking me up is that there's no clutch. That's what's fucking me up because I'm like, where's the clutch?
oh, because you're driving an auto at the moment.
Yeah.
It takes a bit of getting used to. What's even worse though is when you've been driving an auto for a while and you go back and drive a manual, and you fucking hell.
Exactly.
Yep.
I drove an automatic for a long time. I had a 1983 VW Rabbit that I would put my surfboard in. I miss that damn thing.
Yeah.
It was
I will
gold.
guarantee you, unless of course you are buying a bigger vehicle, except for buying a bit larger truck or something like that, I would never buy another manual again because it's just so much easier driving around town in a auto.
Yeah, but see, my 98 Nissan Sentra that we have parked up, that's pretty much a manual right now because the power steering's gone. And I had a girlfriend that I worked with. She was like, "Can I bring my kid over just to drive it in the driveway so she can understand what it's like to love the power steering?"
Yeah.
Mhm.
But oh yeah, it's a workout. That's why we've just got to get a new one. That one it's gone. We can't keep putting money into it.
I
Yeah.
learned to drive in a
Our-
Holden Tirana. So
Are cars affordable where you live?
Relatively. I'm down in Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Because used cars here are outrageous.
The one big advantage to a clutch is it is the best theft protection device.
Yes, it is.
because no fucker knows how to drive with one.
Because
I-
basically nobody under 30 knows how to drive it, and even if they do, the resale value on them is so low because there's no demand for them.
Exactly.
So
A question for you: in the US, do you have separate licenses for being able to drive with and without a clutch?
No.
no.
Nope.
Nope,
We
never
do.
heard of it.
hmm
We do. It's the
What?
same in New Zealand, I assume.
Yeah. I
Like,
remember
yeah.
I
That's
remember
So you
interesting.
can get a license that allows you to drive a car, provided it's an automatic, and a license to drive any car.
Actually, I'm so old I can remember my dad arguing with the cop because he didn't want to have to go back and resit his driving test because they were moving from just the piece of paper that didn't have a photo on it. So his driver's license didn't have a photograph on it, and he didn't want to do it. And he had 2 of them because he had one for the, so 2 without a
Oh,
photo.
that's funny.
Interesting.
Like in order in the state of California, it's different in each state, but like we have buses at my job. I had to get a Class C license so I could drive anything over 35 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then
we have pass
it's
licenses
just
here.
so, but there's no like different license. It just says Class C.
It's just an endorsement.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got B class and C class here. Although I think they've actually changed the names now. But B class was non-articulated vehicle over a certain tar weight, and then C class is for an articulated vehicle.
Yeah.
But like I told you, I'm terrible at backing up a trailer that's over 25 to 35 feet long.
Well,
so
as
even
you
though
know, when I
license,
went and picked up all that carpet, I drove the car basically up to where it was, and and the guy who was there, who was going to load it, and who I was buying it from, said, "Are you okay backing this?" And I go, "No, I hate backing trailers." And he goes, "Get out! I'll back your car for you."
There you go. Yeah.
Which is so much better.
I suck at parallel parking. Can't do it.
Oh,
I like that they've got
yeah.
cameras now to make it a lot easier. And if you have a nicer car, like it'll show you like the lines that will adjust. Like my sister's car, it guides you through it.
Yeah.
It's really
you
nice.
can get auto parking cars now that automatically do it for you.
You can do that.
It
Oh,
takes
I
Yeah.
can't wait till we
wheels
get
and just
self-driving cars. Like where, because for 2 reasons. One, just knowing, how people can get distracted or they might start to nod off, knowing that you've got like those training wheels there. But also people who don't really know how to drive,
Yeah.
knowing that like the car is programmed to get them A to B as safe as possible. And once we have interconnected, think like iRobot. Once we have interconnected cars that are communicating with each other and communicating with,
The
say,
car
like
driving
cell
will be
towers
safer
or
than
whatever.
the human driving in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be safer to where you
Quicker, too.
eventually won't need to drive at all. You can just be
Yeah.
chilling in the back
Right.
while it gets you A
Well,
to B.
That's
Right,
the
now
thing
I
is
want-
that I'm halfway between I don't trust the technology and there's so many things, just little programming glitches that could go wrong with the self-driving car.
But most of
And
them
on the other side of it, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to just get in the car, take a nap, and wake up when I get there.
But the problem with
the
the
thing, like-
self-driving cars now, even in the 80s, the problem with self-driving cars wasn't the car or the car's ability to drive around a track or a street or with other cars. The problem was the humans on the road with the car,
I know.
because humans are
So in
unpredictable.
So in iRobot, the humans are not controlling the vehicles. It's on a grid system. And so
Yeah.
you're just sitting in your car and you're going at 300 miles an hour in your car. You tell your car where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, at that point, if it's all control, sorry, Lang, go.
So who here wants a Johnny cab?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god! When you guys went very down, I was like, if you don't know Total Recall, I am leaving right now.
I love that movie.
I mean, that's the thing with it. If you've got them all interconnected and they hook up to a national grid that kind of controls the cars, the computers will plot out the dress driving course for every single car. You don't need traffic lights, you don't need anything else like that, because it's all controlled for you. And basically, cars will never stop. You won't have peak hour traffic jams and things like that, because the grid will be designed to control the speed so that everybody merges properly and everything keeps going. Because it's human beings that are the problem.
But I thought
Yes.
these self-driving cars have a manual override, so you can take
They
over the
do.
car.
But
Yeah.
if you had,
Didn't work in
if you
Arizona.
only had self-driving cars and no human beings driving, the roads would be 1,000% safer.
But in Arizona, the
Well,
woman was on her cell phone when the self-propelled car ran over a pedestrian.
Yeah.
Well,
And
if
the
the
woman
cars
piloting
never
it-
stop, we'll have to run after them to get in,
Uh-huh.
and then America will be more physically fit. So yeah, it's good.
You know what? I'm going to say something. Driving, I'm someone who has to drive everywhere. Driving gives me anxiety. If we could get rid of cars in general and we had a viable way to travel, sign me up. I don't like cars. I own 3 cars and I hate cars. I hate cars.
I would rather I didn't have to own a car. It's just not really an option in most parts of the U.S.
it's not really
Exactly.
the car. It's not really the like. I mean, there's no way. Think about it. Like, what are you gonna do if you need to do like big groceries or buy shit from Home Depot? You know, like and go pick it up.
Well, like I said, if we had a viable substitute, like a car is a necessary evil, you know.
Yeah. But what would be the viable substitute? That's what we have to figure out.
Well, as far as
teleporter.
places like Home Depot and Menards usually have their own trucks there that you can rent.
Yeah, for like an arm and a leg a day.
No, for like $20 for 4 hours to take your stuff home.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, I wouldn't make it back in time. And then
If you had a properly designed city for it, it would be easy because you'd have decent public transport that goes to set locations, and instead of having cars, people to have smaller electronic golf buggy style vehicles which only do low speeds that get you from your house to the public transport, and then everyone takes the public transport.
Speaking of low speed, there's a guy in town. He has had so many DUIs that he has to drive his lawnmower down to the shop to get his beer.
Can't you be DUI in charge of a lawnmower though?
No, there's nothing. Nope, you don't even need a license.
Yeah, in the town I was living in Michigan, I swear about half of the town had lost their license from DUIs. So yeah, that's people were taking ATVs and snowmobiles everywhere.
See,
you need a light? Like
I know someone in Australia who has a DUI on a horse.
Mm-hmm. It's a moving vehicle.
I mean, you can't get away with it here. It'd be the same in New Zealand, I assume. If you're drunk in charge of any vehicle, that's it. You're
My
drunk
granddad got one on a bicycle.
Yeah, even a bicycle.
As someone who's done some really crazy stuff in their life, you have to really piss off a cop to get arrested on a horse. You have to make an ass of yourself. You have to draw so much attention. I've been jumped on a horse. It was a tail horse.
You have to do 9 times out of 10. If you're taking your horse home from somewhere, the horse knows how to get fucking home, even if you're asleep on the freaking horse. So what did you have to do to get pulled over for a DUI on a horse?
Well, that's what I was thinking. That horses are better because you get drunk, the horse is still going to take you home.
Yeah.
Damn right. Trail horses are the best.
I mean,
they know where they're going.
Unless the horse is drunk too, at which point that's just straight animal cruelty.
Of course, walking backwards and forwards across the footpath.
That's silly. The horse isn't drunk. You'd be surprised. You never seen videos of animals eating fermented stuff? Come on now.
Yeah.
The elephants will eat the
Did a whole thing about them eating
Amarilla.
soporific cabbage.
Yeah, and the elephants eat Amarilla.
Yeah, pretty much every year in early November, we see some drunken squirrels when the pumpkins from Halloween are fermenting.
Yep.
Yep, that's classic.
I heard about this thing once. I don't know what to think about it because I only have anecdotal evidence that there's this place somewhere. I don't know if it's supposed to be Africa or whatever, but it's like this berry or fruit grows, and like once a year, all the animals gather to this place and eat the fermented fruit and get drunk. Or it's or wait a minute, it's not fermented fruit. It's there's some kind of like drug in the plant, and like awesome. These are animals that normally chase and kill and eat each other, right? But once a year, they all get together and trip out on this stuff, and forget about the food chain and all that, and just hang out and get high together.
In Africa,
if humanity did that, we'd have world peace.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
In Africa, they actually have a problem.
Would be a little calmer.
What's that, Perp?
In Africa, they actually have a problem that the elephants will smell the beer brewing, and they will break into villages to drink all the beer.
Oh, that's awesome!
Oh man.
Well, that's
so they've had to start
I
setting
never
up.
thought would exist.
They've had to start setting up defenses to keep the elephants away from the beer. And what seems to be the most effective is for them to put beehives all around the beer, because the buzzing of the bees will deter the elephants from charging in.
So I have to ask,
mice as well, because
do they add the honey to the beer?
So, as a complete novice,
that would be
how
badass.
much alcohol? how much alcohol does it take to get an elephant drunk?
No kidding, man.
So Google's your friend.
Well, yeah,
I
but
had a
you know, they have these vats of like 50 gallons of beer brewing, and the elephants will break in, and like 2 or 3 elephants will drink the whole thing.
oh, that's
Good for the
awesome.
elephants, man.
I had an ex brother-in-law that was 6'8". He used to play for the Raiders, and I watched him
Fuck the
drink
Raiders.
like half a gallon of vodka and still like stand up. And I swore it was because of his size. Like, you have to drink that much to get wasted when you're that big, you know?
Well, how much
Like an
alcohol did
Okay,
Andre
Amarillo
the
fruit.
Giant consume every day?
Exactly.
A
Very
lot,
good point.
like a case
I
of
miss when I
beer,
used to consume a lot
and
of alcohol every day.
like 3 entire bottles of whiskey, and
Yep.
Hold
Yeah,
up,
it was
a dog
crazy.
got addicted to what was the dog high on exactly? Can
Yeah,
someone
I have heard about this in Australia, that dogs will get high because they'll bite the toads, you know, and the toads excrete a poison through their skin.
They'll
Jesus
actually
Christ.
often end up dead because the poison on the cane toads will actually kill them. So
I've heard
the
dolphins
cane
get
toads
high on.
will hop in the dog's drinking bowl because it's
Don't dolphins
full
get
of
high on
water and stuff
blowfish?
like that, and the dogs will try to kill them. And then
Don't
So,
dolphins
Jen, you
get
just
high on
answered.
blowfish or something?
They do. You just answered the question I was going to ask you. I'm glad you said that. So I don't go walk around licking toads in Australia.
All right, we
So
don't have
glad
them
you
in
said
WA. They haven't made it
Yeah,
this far.
don't lick the toads. None of them will turn
Yeah.
into princes and you'll die.
You know, every time we have a problem with feral animals in Australia, our solution is build another fucking fence. We had problems with rabbits, so we built a rabbit-proof fence. Well, it wasn't completely rabbit-proof, but it wasn't. We built this fence to stop the rabbits getting from one state to another. We built a fox-proof fence to stop the foxes, and now there's a toad fence to stop the cane toads getting out of Queensland. So
Really?
our solution is building a fence. So somewhere in our political system, there's somebody with the mental acumen of Donald Trump.
Well, at least it's to keep out actual animals and not dehumanized minorities.
Oh, that's true. But I mean, they don't. It doesn't really work because the animals climb through, or they end up tangled in it and die because
Life
what they
finds
do
a
is
way.
they forget about the other animals.
Walls don't work. Walls do not work. If anyone from Arizona, California, or Texas, it's well known that there are tunnels underneath. You know,
That's how El Chapo
So,
got out.
you're so right, Lone. You're so there. My pops and I, we used to always look for the craziest story online. And one night when I used to drink, we sat here cackling. There was a border patrol. He was kind of walking, and he felt something he heard something over his head. And he's like, what? The cartel had cocaine catapults. And they were shooting them over the border.
I heard about that.
Catapult.
I
about them
fucking
just
died.
flinging bales of drugs over the border.
Yep. Oh yeah, and the border patrol was like, he thought it was like, he's like, is it a bird at first? Because he heard the flapping. It's the middle of the night. They're in the dark, and there were bales of pot and cocaine being flown over his head. And you know, if anyone's ever built a trebuchet, or if you've ever seen a catapult, you could make a car fly with the proper counterweight. So you could do amazing shit with a catapult. You could do amazing shit.
That's I thought I'd seen everything working in this godforsaken place. That's
Humans find a
interesting.
Would it be possible to put Ted Cruz or Donald Trump onto the catapult and catapult them into the wall?
Oh, that would be charity.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Especially if you use one of those fence bits that they were calling a wall, because it'd be like a potato masher. And
You know what's really
Why
funny?
not just yeet them into the ocean, though? Why not just yeet them into the Pacific?
let the sharks deal with them. We mentioned this one earlier.
I said this 3 months ago on Dave.
You gotta stab them first, though. The blood can attract them.
Launch them into outer space on a just send them somewhere on a course where they won't hit anything for a couple years. Just
Wouldn't
Send
matter
them in outer space.
once they're in space, they're dead anyway. Especially if you don't give
Exactly.
them any oxygen.
I think that's a little too merciful. I like the idea of poking a pinhole in their carotid arteries and then subjecting them to Chinese water torture. That way they're slowly bleeding to death and being driven insane.
Well, then, as President
I'm
Zoe, I
not
will
a
appoint
sadistic
you as
asshole.
you are the Department of Defense. I knighted you. You can torture all the people you want. And the sewing
And now it's
administration.
PurpleRhymesWithOrange's stream.
Are you sure you want it? Are you sure you want to trust me with that? You motherfuckers know how off the fucking wall I can be. I'm creative. Are you sure you want to give me that kind of power?
You want a torturer to be into their work. So yeah. You can't
Okay,
just,
I mean,
you know,
one of my fatal flaws is my passion. So yeah, I suppose I can get behind this.
You wouldn't want
Anyway,
a half-ass
Dr.
torturer.
It's about time we've been on a stream together. We've been talking about it for how long now?
It is. It is wonderful. It is wonderful to see you. We're
I know,
both desk
finally.
jockeys at hotels.
Woo! Coming at you live from this shithole.
I'm off for the night, and I'm also not working.
We've only got like 10 people in the house right now, but most of them are the local babicias, and now I'm waiting for one in particular to probably show up at the desk looking to extend, and I'm just going to shirk it off on my manager so that she can be the bad guy, because we don't want them to extend. This babicia came to my desk last night telling me, oh, the fridge in my room doesn't work, but I don't want to bother anybody. I don't want to change rooms at this hour. And it's like, okay, well, I cannot get you a new fridge at 2 o'clock in the morning, ma'am. But I will definitely pass the message on. Turns out the maintenance guy, when he came in earlier this evening before my arrival back here, because we all know this is my home away from home, it turns out he told the owner there was a problem with the fridge in that room. And yet, the owner did nothing, because that's what the owner does, which is why we call him the King Babicia. Pathogen. Can't stand that. I can't stand the owner. I've mouthed off to his face, so what does that tell you?
Hmm.
And yet I'm still employed. He can't
Whoa, I
afford to
just
buy
looked in the chat. Whoa. I just looked in the
I've never
chat.
seen the owner of my hotel. They own a bunch of them, so it's like a company that owns them. So
Damn.
Yeah, the owner of my hotel owns at least one other place right by my house, it turns out. So that's a little scary. But yeah, I mean, I didn't meet him until a little less than, hi Jenny. I think I had been
Hi,
working
Jenny.
here a little past a year by the time I finally met him. And the first time I met him, he was telling me why a second lockdown was, I was saying something about we need to have a second lockdown because, you know, cases of COVID are resurging. And he starts telling me it's a bad idea because economy this, economy that, blah, blah, blah. So I looked him dead in the face. I said, are you telling me that the almighty dollar is more important than human lives? Is that what you're saying to me right now? And then we had, you remember when my boss went to the hospital for a couple of weeks, and we had this horrendous odor right here in this very office from a dead mouse that had gotten into the AC and was slowly sinking up the first floor. And my boss got babesiosis from a tick that came off one of these mice and went to the hospital.
Jeez.
So I was basically single-handedly running the joint on my own. I dealt with the owner more in those 2 weeks than I ever had in my life. And he's trying to tell me that the smell I smelled was probably just the dust smell from not turning on the heater in a while. I went off. I said, are you kidding me? I know what I smell. I know what that dust smell smells like. This is not it. What I'm smelling is decaying, festering, rotting organic matter, and you're not going to change my mind. So
Yikes.
that needs to be replaced. And if you do put it in a room, you're an idiot. Still employed.
Yeah, it's a
I
very
can't wait
different
to smoke
smell
with
than
you.
dust.
I've been getting trolled all day, so I'm not surprised there's someone in the chat with that name on it. I have a fan,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whoever you are, I know I'm beautiful, and you're
They're
gonna have a
I
hard
know
time
you're
already-
stopping
beautiful
me.
too.
Yeah.
No, this is
I've
like
already blocked
I
them
got
from the channel, so
somebody left a comment on the stream that we did earlier. People are bored. I am the wrong person to troll because I laugh at you. I am the wrong.
Oh yeah,
person.
you just go with it. It's
I'm
frightening to
no, I
watch.
get my. I'm an anti-hero. I grew up on.
Fuck yeah, you're Deadpool. You're Latinx Deadpool.
Damn right.
How many times have we had trolls show up in channels and then we give them a lecture and then just block them? It's just like it's so much fun.
Somebody has followed me around today. No matter where I've gone, somebody, and if they have multiple accounts, they have put some serious effort and time. And I think
Maybe it's one of your stalkers that you were telling us about earlier.
This is my, like, in the past couple of days I've had some new fans. Jen, when I first met Jen, she met my real stalker, the one that I had for 8 years.
Oh yeah, your stalker.
Yeah, she was no joke either.
She
So-
legitimately thought that she was Will's girlfriend and had done for 18 months, 2 years.
No,
Something
well,
like
see, in
Oh,
2012, I went to Portland, Oregon, and she was on a walker, and someone tried to snatch her purse, and I clotheslined the guy. And so I became her hero.
Oh, so you
after
made
that.
the mistake of being nice to her. That's what it was.
Yeah, and she has
Well, she asked me what
him
my-
ever since.
And I'll never forget.
So when
she
we
asked me,
announced
"What's
on
your-"
Twitter and Facebook that we were dating, she blew her fucking stack.
And you know what? Because she's probably listening. Like, she sent me so much stuff. I feel bad. Like, she sent me a ton of stuff. I never gave her my address. She would send me a ton of stuff because she knows my real name. Like, you pay $20 on a website, you can get someone's address if you know their real name.
Yeah.
You know, so she was my real stalker. Yeah, she was my real stalker. So people trolling me.
So your
on the
dad
internet
used to
make me
enjoy the
laugh.
chocolates.
She would send me food. There was one time my dad walks in the office and I'm like, "How do you not know it's not poison?" He looks at me. He's like, "It's not poisoned," because he's been eating it. Oh yeah, I've had stalkers before. I've had to get restraining orders on men. So people stalking me online is nothing new. Sorry, I had to say something.
I
because
have a
somebody
couple of
is following me around.
stalkers.
Somebody's following me around today.
stalkers. I have cyber stalkers. My ex-husband at one point, I suspect but cannot prove, he was IRL stalking me. My old car before the current sad, pathetic, abused mess that is my car now. I was at home with my boyfriend and my Gersai, and this was before I lived with Josh. Josh was sleeping over for the weekend, and he decided to go to the car to get his overnight bag. He comes back with my car door handle in his hand. And he said, "I just found this placed neatly on the hood of your car." And he went and he got the solid wood bar that my aunt kept in the patio door to make noise if someone tried to break in the screen door, and said, "Go let your aunt know that I went hunting." So, I mean, we all know Josh is completely batshit insane. So, of course he did this. He went around the complex with this big wooden bar, and actually, it turns out, chased someone into the woods that matched my ex-husband's build. He's not sure it was him, but yeah. My father, I think, cyber stalks me. He sent me an email to congratulate me on the birth of my child, who I had never told him existed. Didn't even get her name right. And
It's creepy when someone has your information. It's creepy when
I'm
someone.
pretty sure my
tells
ex's
you
girlfriend. I'm pretty sure my ex's girlfriend actually still cyber stalks me, because we were discussing earlier how she tried to get me arrested and locked up for harassment because someone else entirely warned her that he had beaten me.
Yikes.
Yeah. I've never had a real stalker. I just had some things with my ex. And mostly all that came of it was that she posted stuff on her blog because she was getting pissed off because I was having more fun without her than she was.
Well, crazy exes are just as valid of stalkers as total strangers, so you can say you've had a stalker. Crazy
Yeah, but
exes are the
crazy
most
ex-
common kind.
Crazy exes
Crazy
are
ex
worse
is
because they
different.
know you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They know your patterns. They know how to fuck with you. Like, the people that know how to hurt you the most are the ones that are closest to you, the ones that you
Exactly.
care about.
Yeah, well, the biggest
The ones
problem
you
she had,
trust.
the biggest problem was I'd always been public about everything. So it's like there was nothing she could blackmail me with that everyone who knew me didn't already know about.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna tell you the honest truth. I felt helpless, like when I got stalked, because no matter what I said or did, this person just was relentlessly trying to come at me. You know. So
Well,
it's unreal.
That's
when
what
you get stalked.
happens. It is a terrifying experience. I mean, I live looking over my shoulder every day because I work not even 10 minutes from where I used to live. If I could walk 2 hours and be at my old address. And I mean, it's on my Facebook account where I work because I mean, I don't care. But I mean, I do live looking over my shoulder, and I wouldn't be surprised
I
if my
tell
ex
people-
showed up here. What?
I have security cameras. I have security cameras for a reason. I mean, people always
I
joke
mean, I have
around like, "Oh,
cameras
you're
here. There's my lovely view. This is my entertainment. Thankfully, nothing going on.
My system has 4 cameras on it, just in case
I
someone
actually
tries
want to get. I want to get cameras when I move. I'm thinking about getting security cameras installed. I have to talk to Josh about it. Because his mind is on other things, like, oh, when we move, I want a duck.
I just
No,
recently
Josh,
got a
you're not-
ring,
Well,
and
I
a
told
ring
him.
is awesome.
Oh yeah, the doorbell camera. I was thinking of that. I do want to get actual security cameras. I want a large dog, but Josh doesn't want dogs. He doesn't like dogs. And I'm like, well, what's a cat gonna do? And what is a duck gonna do? What is a duck gonna do except be beheaded and end up
Yeah.
on the dinner table of
A
wherever
dog
we're
It just
having
needs a
it?
big enough
security
cat.
system.
Well, I would like a Maine Coon someday. That is on my bucket
Are you
list.
talking about like a puma there, Doc? Or like a real life cougar?
Oh yeah. That'd be a good start anyway.
That would scare the hell out of me.
Might as well
if I
just
wouldn't
go for the.
expect-
Might as well just go for a half-ton liger.
Yeah, I
One of my
want
one of my
another Great
favorite
Dane.
I saw an interview a long time ago with Mike Tyson, and it was this
Mike
weird
Tyson?
Canadian interview. And this guy asked him, he's like, "Are you ever going to own an exotic pet again?" And Mike Tyson, he looked at the guy and he was like, "I will never own an animal that can eat me ever again." He had a panther, and his panther tried to kill him. And if he wasn't Mike Tyson, he wouldn't have got out of the cage.
Yep.
And he
So-
flat out said, like, if it was anybody else, they would have been dead. But he was agile enough to swing on that thing and run and, like, not turn his back. I would have been, that thing would have eaten me. I would have been like, died of shock right there. So it
Well, at
checked
least
me.
you
And then I saw
died
Tiger.
of the heart attack from fear.
No, but Tiger King, like, for as much as it made me want to live his life, it utterly and completely, it was like Blackfish also. Like, no tiger needs to be in a cage.
Well, and
Agreed.
like a lot of people think fight or flight,
I
but
never
like
got
the
the
most
chance to
common
finish Tiger King.
the most common response isn't actually fight or flight, it's freeze. And like this is something that happens, you
Yep.
know, in situations where, you know, it could be something like, you know, I remember seeing a video. It was like Outrageous Acts of Science. I loved that show on the Science Channel. But they showed a video clip of a guy that was about to do kind of like bungee jumping with his girlfriend. And she goes and she wants to jump, but she gets up to the ledge and she freezes. And then she tries again and she freezes. So then he shoves her and he's like, yeah, somebody's getting dumped tonight. But essentially they were talking about how, you know, fight or flight aren't the only responses, and they're not even the most common. The most common is freezing, it goes for other traumatic things as well, like sexual assault survivors. Like, you don't necessarily fight and you don't necessarily run away. There are times that you can freeze, like your brain short circuits. Like, is this happening? Is this really happening? And
also,
you just
I
lose
refer
all
to
of
that as psychological paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
And most people aren't.
I used to go into that. I used to go into that mode whenever I was forced to be around my father, and I called it being psychologically paralyzed.
My dad told me
I used to forget to breathe.
My dad told me this thing about Nam, where not every person, but every other guy, every time they shot somebody, they threw up, or they had a physiological reaction to shooting at somebody. There was a lot of people who couldn't control it, because as human beings, we are not necessarily, not every human being is geared to kill another human being. And so my dad would tell me there was a lot, and it was mainly because my dad was there for a long time, and it was the drafted guys, but a lot of guys couldn't handle shooting a gun at somebody else, a lot, and more than you think. And they would have an actual physiological reaction every time.
Yeah.
I can totally believe that. I have a strong aversion to hurting people. I can't stand the thought.
Well, the freeze thing is a very good instinctive response in a lot of situations, because if you're being hunted by a predator, if you freeze and remain absolutely silent, a good amount of the time the predator will get distracted by another noise.
Mm-hmm.
True. Very true.
So it's actually something that, you know, in an evolutionary sense, is proven to be effective.
I always thought the first and most common response was a crap in your pants.
Oh, that's another thing. When someone gets shot, you disembowel. So we're constantly clinching. So when the average human being gets shot, they completely disembowel. That's another thing that people don't talk about. And I've seen that in real life. When someone gets shot, I've seen that. That's real.
Yeah.
But being shot is a traumatic, extremely traumatic thing. It's a
I've
shock
been
to the
stabbed.
system.
I've never been shot.
I've never gone that far.
I'm trying to think of a story I could tell. When I was a little kid, I was at the LA Marathon. What is that man's name? I'm gonna look it up. But I was standing 3 feet away from a man who tried to grab a cop's gun, and the cop grabbed his gun and shot him point blank range. And I was probably 8 or 9, and so I wasn't that tall. I saw the whole thing happen right in front of me, and like my dad told my. So everybody started running because I'm in South LA and like people are trained. You hear gunshots. I'm not kidding you. It was like the crowd of a couple thousand people disappeared within 45 seconds. It was the weirdest thing. Like people were just gone. Well, people are well trained in LA. You hear gunshots, you run and you don't look behind you. Yeah. You know. But yeah, when someone gets shot,
it's different here. No, it's different in Philadelphia. Just the other day, Josh and I were laying in bed, and we heard gunshots outside, and we were just like, "Oh, is this what we're doing today?" Like we're totally.
What was his name now? What was his name? Exhibition Park, 1992, 11:15 a.m. The officer's name, Bill Brook, obviously. It was a tragedy that something like this happened. The percentage of the victim. Daryl Montgomery, 30 years old of Inglewood, California. I was there the day he passed. Still to this day, it trips me out. He must have been on drugs though, because he just don't walk. He walked up to the cop and tried to grab his gun.
Yeah, that's nuts.
What the fuck kind of psychotic break would he have been suffering? Jesus.
LA was way more violent in the 90s though, even than right now. So that's not much of a shocker.
Yeah, Philly's pretty crazy, but actually the area I live in is relatively peaceful. Like, the gunshots were a shock, but at the same time, like, not surprising, just because it's Philly.
I was about to say though, you're like, Philly has a terrible reputation like LA. Like, when I say LA, people think of Compton, Carson, and Watts, when most of LA is peaceful.
Yeah, people think of either of two different areas when they think of Philly. Usually, when they're thinking of the violent reputation and drugs, people are usually thinking of Kensington. Either that or they think it's all just Center City. Center City is its own little bubble. See, I live in the Fox Chase Ronhurst area, and that's more suburban.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be moving. I'm not sure where. I might be moving to the Olney area, and that's not as bad, but it's borderline. But it's like I'm taking what I can get for what I can afford.
Olney, Illinois?
No, Olney, not Illinois. Olney.
Olney.
Yeah, Olney, like Broad and Olney.
M-U-S-E.
And what
Sorry.
state is that in?
Wait, what?
What state is that in?
Pennsylvania.
Are you sure?
The state of despair.
I am positive.
Because there's an Olney, Illinois.
No, Olney is a suburb of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's a subsection.
It's actually fairly hard to find any city or town name in the U.S. that isn't used in more than one state.
You know,
Absolutely.
there's two red banks in the state of New Jersey?
At one
There's
time,
a
there were
town
two
of-
Eagle Rivers in Wisconsin.
The Olney in Illinois
that's
is
like-
known for its population of white squirrels.
Yeah, there's two red banks, two Hamiltons, two Monroes. I forget what else.
There's an Altoona in almost every state.
Oh, we have an
A what?
Altoona.
Altoona?
Yep,
No,
I
don't think
think
they're
Iowa
in
has an
Orlando.
Altoona.
I don't think there's a lot of Orlandos though.
Do you have a Lafayette? Do you guys have a Lafayette?
No, not in Jersey. We might in PA. I don't know.
I think Iowa might have a Lafayette somewhere
We
too.
do. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
When I was living in
Maybe
New York,
not.
I had a lot of problems because people would not mention which state. And a good number of the cities in Minnesota are also cities in New York.
The
Oh
whole
wow.
problem with this conversation is you're just making me think of all the music in Hamilton.
Yeah, I actually used to work at the Sears in Hamilton Mall, which is where I discovered that I'm pretty good at sales in general, but my forte appears to be selling mattresses. Until Sears stopped getting customers, I made pretty decent money. I think I made like $1,000 in commission in one day, my first day live on the sales floor. And honestly, it was because I was that good at it and we had a good customer day. I had somebody come in and she was a Stearns & Foster aficionado. And I showed her the Stearns & Foster models we had once I got a feel for what kind of mattress she needs. She was more of a luxury firm kind of woman. And then she asked me, because Stearns & Foster runs expensive. So she asked me, well, what's comparable at a lower price? I said, well, I think you'd be better off with, personally, I swear by Simmons and Serta, personally. And I said, I think you'd probably be a fan of the Beauty Rest Black line. The selling point for her was that the Beauty Rest Black line uses diamond dust as a cooling agent to help absorb your body heat so you stay cool while you sleep. I could sell mattresses all damn day. And I made something like a $1,000 sale on a really nice mattress that day. My last sale actually was a $1,200 Serta Eye Comfort.
We've got a Serta. I think we have a Serta factory, and sales area in the next town over from where I live.
Huh.
You'd probably
Yeah,
do
I
well
thought
there.
I was thinking about getting the hell out of this hotel not too long after the murder attempt I survived. And I was going to go back into mattress sales because there are several mattress stores in Philly, and I had an interview at one, and I ended up failing on it because I'm fucking tired because I was pulling overtime out the ass. But
You know, I
Yikes.
worked at a Carl's Jr. in downtown Portland, Oregon, when I was in my 20s, and this dude was running his mouth, and our policy was to kick people out. And I told him, like, kick rocks. Out of his sweats, this dude pulled a full Mossberg shotgun out of his pants. Oh yeah, and pointed at me and my ex-boss, who she died of cancer, and she was one of the most fearless human beings I've ever known. She literally taught me to stand up for myself, and no matter what, look someone in the eye, even if they're swinging on you. Like she actually stood for something. But she told him, like, go ahead, you pussy, shoot us both. And I'm like, no. But he backed up and walked out. Oh, yeah,
that
so
I have
it's
never had the
amazing.
misfortune of dealing with. I've never
people are nuts.
had a gun pulled on me, which is a shocker because I'm 5 minutes from Trenton.
On Hollywood Boulevard and Western Avenue, I flipped off a guy, and he pulled a freaking gun on me and let off shots on a busy street in the middle of the day.
That's
Jesus.
terrifying.
Insane.
Yeah, LA, it's changed though. This was 20 years ago. It's really not like that as much anymore.
But it's 2:30, so I am gonna head to bed. I have had a very long day. So you guys have a lovely rest of your
Okay.
night.
Kitty.
Thanks
I'm
for
glad
coming
I
on
got to
my
hang out
stream.
for a little bit. Yeah, no, talking and nerding out about sewing stuff was
Was
a
that
lot of fun.
That really was.
Heck yeah.
We'll have to do it again. We'll have
You
to
were-
do like once a month. We just geek out about sewing. Like we can show projects, things
Well-
that we've worked on.
You
I'm
know,
down.
the
I'm
only
godless
thing
sewing. I said,
is
You're
is
perfect for
a
the
show,
Godless
a
Sewing
show on
channel.
sewing, but instead of what all the other people are doing, which is like lessons, how to do this, here's something I'm working on, blah blah blah. Get some of these well-known YouTube's sewing people in, and get them to talk about what got them into sewing and blah blah.
I subscribe to.
A completely different angle on it instead of just how to do it. Because some of these
I like
people
that.
seem really fascinating.
Don't stay up too late, daughter. It's totally gonna be a thing now. Jenny's now my adopted daughter. Doesn't matter that she's old enough to be my mom. Like that's a trifle. She's my adopted daughter.
Grandma.
Well,
I don't think you're gonna be a grandmom.
Look at Zsa Zsa.
Mother, yes. Grandmother, no.
How
But
old are you?
anyways, I am. Fuck, how old am I? I was born in '86.
Oh God, you're as old as my ex-husband.
Like my brain is like failing on me. I think I'm 34. I think.
Yeah, you'd be 34 unless your birthday.
Yeah, I'll be
was-
turning 35 this year, I think.
Okay, Mom.
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
grandma.
that
Yeah,
sounds right.
see, told you, I'm not that young. I may look young, but I'm not that young. Like I'm closer to 40 than I am to 20. So
I'm 3 years
I'm
away
not
from
old enough to be
30.
your mum. Yay!
When I was your age, I was
Anniversary.
36.
I was
When I was your age.
born old. I was born old.
My oldest stepdaughter is 38.
like I'm gonna pull
Oh,
up an
wow.
age calculator
So,
because
yeah.
I honestly can't remember how old I am.
I'm literally old enough to be either of your fathers.
Yikes.
I have a brother who's going to be 61 years old this year. My parents were old when I was born. Older.
I think my mom's going to be 61 next month, and she's somehow still kicking.
My nieces call me Uncle William, and I'm like 2 to 3 years older than them. It's weird.
Yeah,
their
34
ages go
years old.
essentially-
I have
34
an
years
8-year-old
too much.
nephew. Like, I have an 8-year-old nephew who I absolutely adore, but he's thank God he's that young, because
Merrick
it'd be a little weird.
Garland has been officially sworn in as Attorney General.
Which is a great fuck you. Like, I love the big dick energy power play of that, because Merrick Garland got fucking shafted when it came to the Supreme Court. So like that was
discussing this on the sofa. It was a beautiful vindication. It was a lovely fuck you to Mitch McConnell.
Because fuck that turtle fucker.
Oh yeah.
Then all I could see is Mitch McConnell standing there making turtle fucking noises. As in the actual noises turtles make when they're having sex.
Just like clanking of shells.
I made the mistake of watching a video of tortoises fucking once.
Why couldn't he be tubular like Mikey, or smart like Donatello?
Like, why couldn't he have gone instead of Bowie?
Exactly.
I mean, I'd say that Bowie is contributing more to humanity than Mitch McConnell. Like, if one of them had to go, why did it have to be Bowie? Why couldn't it have been McConnell?
Yeah, really.
I still listen to Bowie. Why couldn't
Trump have died instead of why couldn't Trump have died instead of, let me think, Cloris Leachman or Cicely Tyson?
Well, but on the good
Cicely
side,
Tyson is the same
Rush
birthday
Limbaugh
as me.
saved somebody's life by dying. Don't you think?
That's true. At
But
least for
Kitty-
a little limbo.
But seriously, Kitty, thank you. You were the first guest on Godless Owen's live extravaganza.
Some bragging rights right there. Yeah.
Yeah,
But no,
that was definitely a fun stream.
It's always fun when I get to hang out with Will, though. Like, honestly, I've not had a bad stream hanging out with Jen and Will and Jenny and Perp.
Aww.
Like, it's fun.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I enjoy the social aspect of this. Like, even if I'm not talking, I'm just sitting there listening to everybody else. That's fine by me, because I enjoy the communication. I enjoy the interpersonal connection. You know, I like making new friends around here. So, yeah, I mean,
we're not here to give anyone a hard time either. We're not here to, like, you know. Except for Jenny busts my chops all the time, but
live and let live.
I
I mean, unless you're a racist, and then Stool will call you out for it.
I love giving Stool
I love it when he calls me racist.
pushing his buttons, because he acts like he's so unrattled, but you could just see him dying inside every time you get him.
You know, Stool, I'm going to ruin his reputation right now. He is one of the biggest lefties you've ever met in your life. He is so politically correct. That's why he calls me racist, because I've said a few things and he's like, we can't say those. So Stool's on the level. He just is everybody's.
You're like, dude, I'm a black man. I can say that word if I want.
You know what Americans do though? Like we Americans are. We say certain things because our society is based on race. And then when you watch the news, they'll say a Hispanic guy broke into the bank. They won't say a guy. They'll say a black man. So I talk like that because I'm from America.
In the UK, they'll be like, all right, so like a guy from Camden like murdered a guy from Leicester. Like that's literally it. Like they might say where they're from, because it's kind of a little bit relevant maybe, because it could speak to their motivation, but it's not like a black guy, unless it's like a really like shitty rag, then they might bring into it. But even then they don't do it like the US does. Because I mean, I've read papers from, Australia and the UK, and
yeah, I've started reading
like they don't bring race into it, like unless it's a contributing factor, like if it was a crime motivated by race. So it's like, a group of like racist right wingers beat a black man to death, or they beat a gay man to death. Well, it's relevant to the story, like. But in the US, it's like whether the guy was black or white that did this armed robbery has no bearing whatsoever. Like his skin color doesn't matter. at all, unless it's a motivating factor in the crime, like it's a fucking hate crime, then it shouldn't be brought up.
There you go, Kitty. Just be.
I hate you. Like, I love you, but I hate you.
That's I love that.
That's so.
My boss refers
I'm
to
about
Mitch
to go to sleep.
McConnell
And
as
I'm
a
gonna have
turkey.
fucking nightmares now.
My boss refers to Mitch McConnell as a turkey, as a turtle. She has nothing nice to say. I wish I wouldn't get in trouble for bringing my boss onto a stream, but she would, because she would just get her talking about Trump. That's the way to find out if you'll get along with her. If you're a Trump supporter, you won't last here very long, because she just. I wasn't sure whether I was going to fit in here when I first started. And then one morning, my boss and I was kind of filling her in on everything that happened during the night. And the news was on. And my boss said, "Oh, wonderful. Now, if we could just get Trumpy out, we'd be fine." I said, "Oh, good. You hate Trump. We'll get along."
Yeah, that's a good way to be like, yeah, we're on the same team.
Oh my God, I got her to play Cards Against Humanity when we were all stuck here during the snowstorm a few weeks ago.
I bet
It was me, my boss, and my coworker were all snowbound here, and I had my Cards Against Humanity collection in my trunk, and I was like, "Hey, let's liven up this snowstorm party." So I brought the cards in because my coworker heard Cards Against Humanity. Was like, "Oh my God, yes, bring it in." So we kind of roped my boss into it, whether she wanted to or not. She ended up wiping the floor with us.
That's great.
Despite never having played it. And then a few days later, that coworker had gotten to go home, but the person who was on second shift that day got there, and I was like, "Hey, you ever play Cards Against Humanity?" So I went up to the room I had blocked off for myself, brought the cards down, and my boss wiped the floor with us again. So she is the undisputed champion of the hotel.
Dude, I want to play. That'll be fun.
Cards Against Humanity is fun.
It
a
is.
great game.
One of the best things I got to do
McConnell, yeah.
before she died. Before she died, Josh and I did manage to get his mother to play Cards Against Humanity with us.
Aww.
And one of the she was, once she got the hang of it, she came close. I think I ended up winning, but she came close. Like she was getting on the level there. And at one point though, like early on in the game, when she really didn't realize what she had gotten herself into with us, because we'd been better to play for a couple of years. And the black card was, during sex, I like to think about blank. And I played the card that said, "Our baby." And she was reading the cards. And she looked at me and she said, "What the fuck is wrong with you? We need to institutionalize you. You are demented." I said, "What are you?" I said, "But Mom, the whole point of the game is to be the most fucked up person in the room." And then she starts talking about how her husband would have loved this game. Like, because I had heard a lot of stories about Josh's father. He died before we met. And I said, based on everything you tell me about him, Josh, I sure wish your dad was here to play this. I feel like he'd like it. And he and his mom immediately got into, "Oh my God, Dad would have loved this game." His mom said, "Oh yeah, he'd have been waking me up at 3 a.m. You know what would have been a really good answer to that card?"
That's great.
It's
All right,
so
but I
fun
really
getting
do gotta go.
The next thing on my
I'm
bucket
probably
list.
going to have to go too as
Good night,
well,
Kitty.
because I've got stuff I have
See
to
ya,
get done.
Kitty.
Hi. No, the next person I want to get to play that game though is my own mother. And she has said she wants to play. But you need a minimum of 3 or 4 people to play. So she wants to get her best friend to play. And my mom and her best friend are, you get the two of them together and they're like really fucked in the head in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all follow my mom on Twitter here. And we've seen the shit that she says. So just imagine her playing Cards Against Humanity.
It'd be good fun. We should do a few Cards Against Humanity streams every now and then because they're good fun.
Yeah. The Sloth Girl loves that. We've got a bunch of expansion packs we never got to play just because we haven't been able to get any other people here.
I have invested several $100s into my collection. I have the original, the red box, the blue box, and the green box, and I think I have a 90s expansion. I'm very upset with myself for missing out on the Trump expansion.
I'm not sure if I've ever played Cards Against Humanity.
Oh man,
you probably played the Jackbox version of it though.
Maybe.
Oh, Quiplash. Yeah, I love Quiplash.
Yeah. Oh, Quiplash
yeah, I've done Quiplash with some of you guys before, but
it's similar, not exactly the same.
Yeah,
Right.
Quiplash is largely a rip-off of Cards Against Humanity.
Oh,
The
Quiplash
main
is a complete
difference is in
rip-off.
Cards Against Humanity, you don't just make up your answers. There's a separate deck of cards that you'll have a hand of 10 cards, and you have to draw your answer from one of the cards you have.
Yeah. Which is what makes it harder because you have to pick from what's in your hand, and you might have absolute crap.
yeah.
Oh, it's so much fun though. I mean, getting Josh's little 61-year-old mother playing this game and trying not to let her. She was on supplemental oxygen.
It reminds me of a year ago when everybody got locked down during the pandemic. Every other person was going live and playing Quiplash. So it just reminds me of being extremely depressed and hiding in the house. That's what Quiplash reminds me of.
We should do a Quiplash stream one of these days. I have not played in so long.
They're fun fill-ins, but you don't want to do them too often. So
I'm not kidding you. It drained after a while because everybody played it. I would not people oh, let's play Quiplash. I would click right off. Oh, that's back when Blake 7 was still on YouTube.
and whilst playing Quiplash is fun for those playing, it's not as much fun for the audience.
Awful.
Well, we could all just sit in a Zoom call and play or something.
Yeah, we could all just sit in StreamYards and have a game at some point, but it's not as much fun as an actual stream. It was when it started off, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, I honestly would love to. I need to get Quiplash on the Switch.
It's the same with what's that other game that everyone likes playing? Where they throw people out of airlocks.
Among Us.
Among Us. It's the same sort of thing.
I was just playing that before I jumped in here.
I've never played that before.
I don't
I
get
have.
it unless I haven't figured it out yet.
I've played it a couple of times, but I actually, for some reason, the controls didn't seem to work well for me.
Yeah, you can change it though. You can have it so it's point and click instead of you have to walk around. So,
well, it's honestly it might work better for you, Purple, if you played it. Well, what did you play it on? Did you play it on a phone, or did you play it on a computer?
On my desktop. On my computer.
I think the desktop version's easier than the phone version.
Yeah, I've played it on a computer. Josh actually put it on the Switch so that he and I could play together because he wanted to play, but it wouldn't work on his phone. I prefer the phone version, but
I can't imagine playing it on that small of a screen.
It's actually surprisingly easy once you get the hang of it. The controls are actually better on a phone than anywhere else in my experience.
Virtually every time I have to use my phone to do anything more than answer a phone call, it pisses me off.
You don't even watch YouTube on your phone? Do you watch YouTube on your phone?
No,
I watch YouTube on my phone.
I'm
on here on my phone.
Yeah,
I have ADD,
I do pretty much everything on my phone.
I'll go from my computer. I'll click off my computer, go in my search history on my phone, and watch exactly what I was watching on my computer on my phone. So and then I'll walk into my kitchen or something. So I watch YouTube while I'm cooking. Honestly, when I'm in the chat commenting, it's because my phone has spell check. You would see how corrupt the Los Angeles school system is if I had to sit down and type.
Oh shit! I plug this motherfucker in. Yeah, I stream from my phone all the time. I jump in panels and shit on my phone all the time. It's actually better than the laptop because I don't know if anybody remembers. I was trying to participate in. I think it was that impromptu around the table or an impromptu what the fuck show or something. And I was trying to use my laptop, but it just wasn't compatible because the thing's a dinosaur from 2012.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I'm going to head off too because I've got stuff I have to get done, and it's like 4 p.m. here. So
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Bye-bye.
I love you all. I'll talk to you later, babe. And I'll talk to everybody later. Bye. I'll see you on Twitter.
Bye.
Bye.
At least I get to go home and be home at 7 instead of having to worry about coming back here.
What, do you finally get a day off?
Yeah. Tonight would have been one of my nights off, but for a staffing issue, our other overnight person has apparently been really sick with a sinus infection, and it's apparently bad enough. She went to the ER last weekend, and I guess that's where she got the diagnosis, but apparently she's still so bad off that she ended up going to urgent care, and she texted the general manager a picture to prove she was there. So hopefully she feels better soon because I need a break. Granted, I did get Tuesday night off, which normally would have been one of my scheduled days. Like, my management has been extremely accommodating with what was going on with Josh's mom. She went into cardiac arrest on the 28th of February, and she was on the ventilator until the 5th of March. We pulled it, and she just passed away Tuesday the 9th. So I did tell my boss, like, yeah, she just died. And my boss was like, well, do you want to take the night off, or are you going to be okay? I was like, honestly, would you mind if I took the night off? Because I don't ask for time off. I'm always here. Everybody who follows me on Twitter knows I'm always fucking here.
Were you at work today when you were doing the black sofa?
No, surprisingly, I was at home. I did get off a night shift. I mean, Thursdays are supposed to be my day off, which is why I signed on to the job. But I went home and slept for a couple hours, and I actually woke up earlier than usual because I set an alarm for 4:45 p.m. on Thursdays so that I'm actually up and can be on the show. But I actually was home. But then I went back to sleep for a couple hours.
Isaiah and I were shooting BB guns in the backyard, so I was kind of listening to it.
Yeah, that was a fun show today. Megan and Harry did take up the bulk of it, but I am glad we at least got, because we had a lot in Mike and I have a Google Doc where we throw things in there that are worth discussing, but we only got to discuss Megan and Harry. I think we had that one murder case in the UK, and we also
aren't you special? You get to see the list. He doesn't just throw things at you.
Yes, that's the perk of having the title of co-host. I don't get many perks in life. Leave me alone.
I was appearing on his shows a lot longer than you have, and I never once got to see the list.
I'm sorry, I'm privileged. It's because it's I don't know.
It's because you bat your eyelashes at him.
I do no such thing. I don't even use my camera on the sofa anymore. Because I finally figured out that's not a thing. Not that I care if anybody on that show sees what I look like, but
yeah.
Plus, because during that time I'll literally have just woken up. Nobody has to see that I look like crap. The only thing anybody has to deal with is hearing Josh yell at Fortnite every 5 minutes.
That's me in my video games.
Oh my God, Josh is terrible with it. Anybody who has been on a stream with me knows what it is. Everybody's like, "You motherfucker, fuck, shit," and I'm like, Josh, can you like not play Fortnite while I'm on a stream, please? And he keeps not listening because that's what these men do. This one in particular, but he got somebody real good. Titan Uranus comment was in the chat, and it was mentioned, oh, we've got Titan Uranus, and Josh just ran with it. Oh, my anus is tightened. he went on.
You know, that name catches people. It catches people off guard.
Oh no, Josh was just. I mean, Josh has. He went through a phase where he wasn't 100% sure of his gender and sexual identity. He decided that he was in fact a straight cis man, which was fine, but you know, it really opened him up to, you know, he's very much he don't care about, he don't give a shit if anybody's trans or gay or whatever. You're nice to him, he's nice to you, unless he feels like being an asshole. But he heard that he likes to make situations with our guy friends as gay as humanly possible, for no reason other than to make them uncomfortable. And the thing is, he only does it with people we know personally. Like, I don't think any of you have to worry about him hitting on you. Stool might, but that's because
I like never mind. Never mind. I like certain kinds of gay stuff, but that's more of a lifestyle choice.
But
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, but the reason Josh enjoys it so much is because he likes watching our guy friends get confused because they know of his experimentation. Like, he has had sexual relations with trans women. I think in the absolute horrible, the worst throes of his heroin addiction, I believe he let a man suck him off for drugs. And because our IRL friends know of his history, they're never quite sure whether or not he means it, and it confuses them. So it's the aspect of, is he really hitting on me or is he joking? It's the making them wonder that gets him. It doesn't mean I necessarily approve of it, because I'm like, you know, dude, one day you're going to get beat up or you're going to really offend somebody with that. But
I couldn't see that going over too well in Philly.
Oh, are you kidding? He has been cursed out multiple times. But
because here, I just assume that every other person is under the umbrella, because most people are here. Yeah,
like Josh used to identify as more gender fluid, but he, you know, over time he kind of, his identity has been very fluid over the years, and some people just are. And he actually went through a phase where he was wearing women's clothing and makeup, and I let him use some of my very expensive makeup for his. But yeah, he heard Titan Uranus and he just fucking ran with it. So he said, what? Somebody said that? I said, no, Josh, that's someone's username. He goes, oh, so his name is basically Clench Them Cheeks, boy. I mean, he was just running with it, and then Titan Uranus comments, that's my name, wear it out. I said, dude, that's the wrong choice of words, because now he's going to run with it for approximately 3 to 5 months. Once Josh starts going, he doesn't stop.
Hold on. Blake, when you discover yourself and who you are, it'll be so much freeing than trolling atheists. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Somebody's been at it all day, so I don't even know if they're real or fake, left, right anymore. Someone's been at it all day on me, all day. And I'm telling you,
free time.
I make people come jumping out of the closet without a without
Jumping
a
out
pair.
or burrowing further back in?
No, like all the closet cases. Today has been the day of the closet cases. Somebody has been after me all day, and it's just it's just boring at this point.
Thank God I'm not home hearing you say that, because you know what? This is another thing where Josh would hear that and he'd run with it, because then he'd start flirting with you.
Oh, Josh better be careful. I'll flirt back until he's uncomfortable.
He wouldn't be uncomfortable. It would be a thing. He hits on stool. He hits on Stool, and then Stool just tries to make cracks about his beard. And sometimes Josh will hear the name Stool and start stroking his beard because he's so proud of this beard.
You guys, I'm gonna take off.
Okay.
Have a
Jenny.
great night.
Yeah,
love
hope
Good
you
to
get
see you,
some sleep.
Jenny.
Thanks for having me.
Good night.
I gotta go find a troll to stalk me.
Well, you can take Blake with you.
Go with Unirock.
What is that? Furball?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, Furball. Furball has better things to do than troll people.
I think a lot of this is because the other day I told Darth Dawkins that he was gay, and as somebody who's bi, he just needs to accept himself.
Oh,
So I think
okay. So you've got some of Darth Dawkins' followers gigging after you.
Well, he was in Atheist Mo's chat, and like he was just like unrelenting. And I was like, Darth, like, why are you always trolling men? Go away. You like guys, go find yourself, you know. And like and he didn't say anything after it, so he probably really took it to heart when I said that. Like he stopped. He completely stopped and left the chat and everything after I said that.
Must have scared him off with the truth.
Yeah, this was like
I
3
love
days
doing that
ago.
to people.
Yeah, that
I
was like
love
2 or 3 days ago. I can't even remember now. It was a couple days ago though. But I've been getting trolled all day by people.
He was
Okay,
probably
yeah.
butthurt.
Yeah, well, yeah. If some of Darth Dawkins fan clubs saw that, that pretty much explains it.
But there was 4 people. It was Kevin.
Yeah,
The-
Kevin Chaos.
Yes, it
That
was
stream. Yeah.
him, Atheist Mo, and Darth Dawkins. That was it. There was the only, and then Darth Dawkins started coming with all of his sock accounts.
Yeah, I came into that later some point. That must have been after the Darth Dawkins thing.
Oh my gosh. It's just, my whole thing about trolling is like, you have to be a special kind of bored. You have to be like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the part I don't get. It's like, don't you have anything better to do with your time? I mean, if nothing else, watching cartoons would be a more productive use of your time.
I started watching.
Trolling the trolls right back. I just throw their own game back at them. I got thrown in Twitter jail for a few hours a few weeks ago because some total nut job who I think, like Kitty was saying earlier, that she has her own reasons for not liking Steve McRae, and that's fine. But you notice she's not jumping on the bandwagon just out of her own boredom. I had somebody who was like clearly a unitard, which is an entirely different ball game, start coming at me. And I was just like, okay, Grandma, you need to go talk to your Botox doctor or something like that. And she just kept throwing the same insults, and I just kept coming up with new ones. I just like completely ground her up. And I guess she and Perennian got bored enough to report every single tweet. So I got thrown in Twitter jail for a while. But
yeah,
I don't give a fuck. Fuck that.
Unfortunately, that's how Twitter works a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny though, because she didn't end up in Twitter jail.
Yeah, the people who cause the trouble don't wind up in jail. It's just the people who call them out.
Is that because of the bots? Is that because they have like troll bots?
No, I think it's mostly like, like she was saying that, somebody reports you And then probably they just have a bot scan your recent tweets and see if there's something objectionable there, and
By that logic, though, she should have been thrown in Twitter jail because a couple of my friends went in and reported every single tweet of hers.
Okay, yeah. Nobody really knows how Twitter works, but I do see that
really
happen
know
a
how
lot.
anything works anymore, though, realistically. Like, does
Well-
anybody know how any of this works? I don't.
No, but it's all according to God's plan.
Oh, Perp, I needed that. I needed that. Oh. Somebody is stalking me today. Somebody is taking their time and attention. They were all. I've deleted 2 comments off the YouTube thing because they're just so disgusting. But people are bored.
I kind of want to know what these disgusting comments are.
No, they're calling me the N-word. It's like get a better. But it happens like 10 seconds after we tell someone to stop trolling.
Yeah.
So it just makes me laugh. That's what I'm saying. Like,
your average troll usually has the emotional maturity of a 5-year-old. So
when I'm mad, I go get an ice cream cake at Baskin Robbins and eat it all to myself.
Why the fuck did you get it from Baskin Robbins?
I'm just saying. Or like
Even the Carvel steak.
Oh, those are so good. Those are so with the little crispy things at the bottom.
The crunchies. Yes, the crunchies.
Oh, I'm craving one right now.
I don't think we have either one of those here.
Carvel. Well, they sell Carvel in grocery stores. It's just the ice cream cakes.
My birthday every year, the only thing I ask for is a Carvel cake, and every year so far, Josh has actually managed to get me one.
So this year, I bought myself one on my birthday, and my son and I cut it in half, and Isaiah and I sat there. We ate the whole thing for my birthday. Right.
Sloth Girl makes me cheesecake, and I don't mean the cheap one. She makes me the real baked cheesecake, and I know she hates doing it. I know she hates doing it, and she will never do it any other time. She only does it for my birthday.
We can't talk about cheesecake. We can't talk about cheesecake. We might. Oh my God! What if Not Witness is in here? We might trigger him.
That's why we waited until the only Australian left.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was good.
I'm gonna go poke this in real quick. I'm craving cheesecake now.
Oh yeah, that's part of the community lore now. The Great Cheesecake War.
Oh God. Oh yeah. I got Notjaw really good. I found out they had little teeny tiny cheesecakes at 7-Eleven, so I bought one, and then I took a picture of it, and I said, "Oh, Notjaw," and I tagged him. I gather he was pissed. God damn it.
Oh. Well, I know that a good number of our audience went to bed too. Yeah, still says
Lucky
9 watching.
Yeah, it's 3:09 in the morning here, and I don't leave for another 4 hours. I want to go home.
I used to do computer operations on night shift, which often meant that I was the only person in the building.
I am currently the only staff in the building.
Yep.
But we only have like 10 people in house, so I'm happy. The fewer people in house, the less chance of bullshit. The problem is most of them are the Babicias, so.
Okay, Nerdy says it's only 8 a.m. What person in the right mind would be awake at 8 o'clock in the morning?
And I'm holding up my hand too. That's only an hour after I get off work.
Well, that's what I mean. The only reason I would be awake at 8 o'clock in the morning is if I haven't gotten to bed yet.
Yeah, but doesn't that happen on a frighteningly regular basis?
Well, more often than I like, yes, but but I mean, Nerdy is acting like this is the start of the day.
You worry me, Nerdy.
I don't know. I don't know when day starts or ends anymore.
Yeah, doesn't it just all blur together? Like for me, even though technically it's Thursday, no, it's Friday now. God damn it! Even though
Yep.
technically it's Friday now, it doesn't become Friday in my mind until I run the audit in about 45 minutes.
Well, I have always said that, the day does not actually start until sunrise. And you can see that. And that is why it is called midnight, because it is middle of the night, which means there's an even amount of night on both sides of it. It's not morning at 12:01.
Well, no,
but
no,
it is
for me,
technically.
I'm in just hotel world where the business day doesn't change until you run the audit. So for me, it's still Thursday, and it's going to stay Thursday until I click run audit. And print those reports.
I'm fairly well conditioned now that midnight is the next day myself. So
The only reason I know midnight is the next day is because when I fill out the paperwork for the guest log, I'm basically doing it for the next morning shift, so that when all the paperwork is printed for the checkouts, it gets put in the box. So I date it for the actual date, not the business date.
On the weekends when my son goes with his mom, I couldn't even tell you what time it is. I do not look at a clock. I try to get all my stuff. I try to get everything that I haven't achieved all week long. I try to get it done. And then this room doesn't have any windows, so it's easy to lose track of time in here.
Yeah, all the blinds are drawn here. Like, I keep the blinds drawn on this window so that nobody can see that there's a person in here, because when the local trash tries to wander in, technically I am allowed to accept walk-ins, but it's still on the web. We don't accept walk-ins after 11, so I can get away with telling people no. Like, I don't do it to everybody, but if I can tell that they just wandered in from over the bridge, I'm not going to allow it, because every time I've done that, I've ended up regretting it about 10 minutes later.
that's odd. We allow walk-ins all the time. There's no time we won't take in walk-ins.
Well,
I've never even heard of such a rule.
We put a stop to it at our specific hotel because when COVID first hit, me and the other overnight person both took leaves of absence to self-quarantine. And so what they started doing was they closed the desk at 11 p.m. and someone was only on staff for emergency purposes. We didn't have overnight staff. We just had somebody in case like the fire alarm went off or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when I first came back, oh, here comes a car now. I'm gonna hide.
No, Doc, here, it depends on where you are. Like
I have seen it posted at a number of hotels and motels that they won't take walk-ins after a certain hour.
I live by a freeway. They'll take anyone. But if you go more into the city, they won't take anyone after 11 o'clock. But on the freeway, they'll take anyone.
Yeah, and my hotel is right at the edge of town too, so that probably has something to do with it. I don't even know about the other hotels in my own town. If I never thought of no walk-ins, so I don't.
No, I'm sorry, we don't do walk-ins. It's fine.
LA, you know what? Honestly, it's what you look like. Depends on what you look like. If they'll let you walk in.
Out, you fucking Babesia. I don't know if you heard that. Do you have a reservation?
Yeah, we heard.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
That's going on your greatest hits.
I don't have the power to do that. I'm jealous.
No, my greatest hit was when I didn't realize we were live, and I turned my mic back on and said, if this motherfucker calls this hotel one more fucking time, I'm going to lose my shit. I thought Jen and Will were gonna piss their pants.
Oh,
Because
that
I
was
said,
awesome.
"Oh my God, are we live right now?" Because Aaron said that. Jen goes, "We're also have signees with us." I'm like, "Oh, fuck! Did I just say that live?"
You know why? Because I don't think I didn't think you heard us talking, because we were talking through the entire intro and we just kind of didn't react when the stream came on. We just kind of didn't say anything, and then you were talking, and it's just natural instinct to not talk when somebody
Mhm.
else is talking. We were listening to you too.
Yeah, because I was on the phone with that guy. I think Jen actually muted my mic because I
No,
rewatched it.
I did, because I can't remember. I can't. It
No,
was just
kept
gold.
calling over and over with the same question, and I wasn't sure what he wanted from me. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way, or something like that.
I forgot about that. That was hilarious. That was good times. Good times.
Yeah, it's never a dull stream when I show up. That's for sure. I'm good for very little, but comic relief is one of my greatest talents.
Jen's telling me how I trigger people because she saw that we got another troll.
I don't know. Blake seemed to disappear when I said whether or not your God exists is irrelevant to me. That was he didn't post anything after that.
No, that okay, Purple, you just brought up a very important point. I don't care what you believe, who you believe in. Don't harm people and don't push it on others. And that's my thing. You can't prove the validity of anything you're saying. So I don't see a point in arguing with people like that.
Exactly.
Like, there's the spiritual people and all that. They'll talk to you. They'll argue. They'll say, oh, well, I believe this, this, and this. Okay, we can bring it down to earth and pinpoint something. But these people who believe in the Bible, infinite, and there's no talking to any of them. There's no making sense with them. They're the people who say, oh, Jesus saves. Then they'll call me the N-word 2 seconds later when I don't agree with them.
Yeah.
There's no talking to these people. It makes me laugh. It just, yikes.
I mean, I've met some very nice people who also happen to be Catholic or Methodist or whatever. And the difference is they live their lives according to the religion they follow. And that's it. They don't push it on me.
Yeah.
They don't,
Recently, because I've met an Episcopalian recently because of Sam Chaos, and she is an amazing person. I don't look at her any different because of her beliefs at all, and she's not violent with it like other people.
Yeah. Well, and I've said, just for expediency, I will grant Christians that God exists and is exactly as the Bible says he is. If I give you all of that, you've got a shit ton of work to convince me that there's any reason to worship a genocidal maniac.
Exactly. Or that anything Jesus said has come true.
I like picking people's own, I like picking people's beliefs and throwing them back in their faces to disprove their bullshit. Like, take your average homophobe, right?
Okay.
And they talk about, God hates this, that, and the third. I'm like, but wait a minute. Isn't God about love? Oh, yeah, God loves everyone. Oh, God loves everyone. Right. And God doesn't make mistakes, right? Oh, no, God is perfect. Okay. So by your own logic,
Yeah,
and they short circuit and they just, it's so fun. Maybe I'm a little sadistic. I have my moments.
No, I get it.
No, it is great to use people's own logic and weaponize it against them. Because it's like...
Do any of you guys remember Charles Stanley? He was the preacher who was always on American television yelling at people. He was always like the infomercial king. He bought up more airspace.
No, I don't remember.
I once, when I first started smoking pot, I would watch a lot of TBN because it started tripping me out of how, because I wasn't raised evangelical. I was raised Catholic. So these guys with their hellfire and brimstone, it made me laugh. Charles Stanley one time went on a 45-minute homophobic rant. And then at the end of his rant, he's like, oh, but God loves all of his children, and we'll bring the people back into our church. He basically was to beat you up. You know, he beat people up just to build them up. They're
like an abuser.
That's exactly what it is. It's an abusive relationship. And this new age NIV stuff, or whatever those people are called, they're calling for the death of anyone who's not straight. Let's make that clear. You know, these new age,
kill me. Do me a favor.
These new age evangelicals are dangerous because 30 years ago they were not like this.
What the fuck just flew in front of the camera?
They were annoying. They'd pray over you, but they weren't trying to kill you.
Ew, there's a fucking bug flying around in front of the security camera, checking itself out for no reason.
Oh, when a bumblebee flies in front of my camera, it looks like an alien has flown in front of the camera.
It's not a bumblebee. It looks like a teeny tiny dragonfly.
But I think it's important to address that these new age evangelicals, they want to take it a step further.
Oh yeah,
they want people dead. They're not playing either.
Yep, it's insane. It's insane what religion can justify.
Absolutely.
One thing that I always kept in mind when exploring any philosophy, you know, or any thought exercise or anything, is I don't ever want to come to some kind of belief or philosophy that justifies harming another. It's just one thing I'm really guarded with, you know.
Some people deserve to be harmed.
Well, and that's
but those specific individuals, not groups of people, like my ex-husband.
Well, that's the very thing. You know, it's like so many people can justify in many ways, and you don't have to be religious to do it either. Plenty of people believe in capital punishment, you know, death penalty for whatever. And I really don't, because you can't learn anything when you're dead. And you know, I believe in rehabilitation, or at least I hold the hope. I mean, maybe it is possible some people are just so far gone that they're only going to cause harm the rest of their lives.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. I am pro death penalty, but only in very specific situations. I don't know if you've ever heard me touch on this, but
I have.
My thing is, what you did has to be so egregious, it defies even the most out there explanation. Like, you have to hurt a child or something.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be irrefutable evidence that you did it. The Innocence Project should not be willing to take you on. And it's the most extreme of cases. Like,
and that's honestly, and that's my question. You know, that's my big question: is where is the point of no return? You know, and I know it's hopeful. I know it's hopeful, optimistic, and idealistic, but I do want to believe that everyone has the potential to recover, to return, to you know, realize the harm they're causing and change, you know, in a more positive way.
No, there's
but that's not, you know, well, I'm not determining anything in particular. You know, like I said, that's the question I'm exploring is you know, you know, is it possible for somebody to be 100% irredeemable?
Well, that's, you know,
is there a point where there is no redemption, and where is that point?
Well, that's where the severity of the offense or offenses, if you would, question comes into play. The biggest example I can think of, and Okay, so that's also a good question. Should it be considered a mental health issue? Yes and no, depending. If you're dealing with a flat-out sociopath, there's no cure. That's been proven
Exactly.
time and again.
Exactly.
But
Well, and being a sociopath or even a psychopath doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be evil and harm people.
And
No.
that's the
'Cause
thing.
Yeah.
That's why we have jails. See, here's the problem. We will never have a utopian society because
well,
it
every
is,
utopia is inherently a dystopia anyway, so that's not an ideal goal.
but it is inherent in human beings to kill each other. So we
Yeah.
have to weed out the reasons why we do that.
Mhm.
We had this conversation. It's resources, it's jealousy, insecurity. There's a whole list of reasons
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, there's
and
a whole
most
lot of
people-
nuance involved. Yeah.
Yeah, most
Yeah,
people
so-
kill somebody, have one person in mind they want dead, and for whatever reason, they think they have a valid cause for it. And as a general rule, they won't kill again.
Justification.
Yeah, even if it's not actually justified, the point is
Well, that's the thing
that
about
offender's
justification.
mind, in that offender's mind,
Yeah.
they have a reason. It's not something that they're doing for fun. It's not something that they're doing for a thrill. It's like, okay, they think they had a reason, and after that's
Mhm.
done, they're no further threat to society. In those cases, no, we shouldn't apply the death penalty. It shouldn't be murder equals capital punishment. However, if there's a case, the mental health issue also comes into play here. With the example I'm thinking of, there was a big controversy about the execution of Lisa Montgomery, the psycho who cut open the pregnant woman and murdered the pregnant woman and cut her open and took out the baby. That's egregious enough. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but there was no coming back from that. You have to be incurably off the wall. I love Brokeback Mountain, by the way. It's insane. There's no coming back from that. And the other thing is, it also brings in a question that is actually very dear to my heart for various reasons. There's the question of, I guess I'll turn my camera off too, since that's what we're doing today. The question of when it's actually more humane to
Right,
utilize
right.
capital punishment. Like, we put dogs down when they go
Mhm.
crazy and attack somebody. And
Well, we generally value human life over that of dogs. In
which
a
is stupid. Which
very
is
general
stupid,
sense. Yeah.
because dogs are
I
better
agree.
than people in every way. So, and you can't change my mind, but
Mhm.
Oh,
I agree.
Well,
That's-
yeah, the first question that has to be
we
addressed.
don't make an animal suffer with that agony of
Yeah, the
Right.
first question that
psychological.
has to be addressed is, is this person dangerous to others? And
Yeah.
if they are, something has to be done so that they cannot present a danger to innocent people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's one of the hinky things. It's like you can have, and it might be a mental health issue. It might be, somebody has something about them that compels them to do harm. And you can say that it's not their fault. They're under a compulsion, and that could be 100% true. But at the same time, they're going around causing all this harm. And
Exactly, they're a risk.
and
to
unless you
society.
come up with a cure for their condition, they're just going to continue doing harm. So something has to be done one way or the other.
Yeah, you either have to keep them contained for the rest of their life, or you have to eliminate
Mhm.
them. That's really the only two options at that point.
Yeah.
Now, in the case
That's
of
the big
Montgomery,
question.
I mean, it's my understanding that she underwent horrific trauma in every way known to man. And in
Yeah.
that kind of a case, I do not believe for a second, I don't think there was any coming back from it. Some people are just too far gone. And
Yeah.
in this case, that woman was way too far gone. And when you're dealing with mental health issues, also, in the case of someone that commits a crime, if there's a mental health diagnosis and there's a history there of, obtaining psychiatric help, whether voluntarily or not, there should also be a question of, you have to look at whether the person has a history of repeatedly refusing to comply. For example, repeatedly going off their meds. So there's that question. Because if someone's going to repeatedly not comply with something like medication, with therapy, that tells me they don't actually see anything wrong with them, even though they are literally harming people. And in that case, it is too dangerous to allow them to live.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just one of those heavy questions that
It has to be
definitely
tackled.
Situational.
Yes, there is no one universal answer for what offenses automatically constitute death penalty. It does have to be examined on a case-by-case basis. But you do have to, there are a few major questions that can be asked in each case, but the answers may also vary. And the details will also vary. You have to take an extremely in-depth look.
Well, and that's why we have a court system. Because we can't we can't have absolute laws. They have to consider the situation.
Flawed as it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is extremely flawed. We do need more involvement we do need more intercommunication between the court system and the mental health system. The legal system in general, including legislative arena.
I'm weird though. Like I feel that.
Well, we know you're weird.
If so, like chomos, okay, child molester. Sorry to speak California.
Death by Gen Pop. Stick them in Gen Pop.
If someone's a chomo, I think they should be put out of their misery. To me, it's incurable.
Stick them in Gen Pop. That's the way to do it.
Bullets cost 25 cents. This is where my lefty kind of disappears, because I'm pro death penalty for people like that, No,
don't even shoot them. That's too merciful. That is entirely too merciful. And I say this as the grandchild of a pedophile. Do not just shoot them. Stick them in general population. The lifers will handle it, and that will be the end of that. And they will make sure the little kitty diddler suffers more so than any of their victims ever did, and they can feel that pain. And then they'll put your lights out.
To answer Animal Science TV, we do euthanize humans in America. We have there's
only with physical illness. I believe it should be expanded.
No, but in America, like if you're on death row, they put you down. At least in Texas, Louisiana, there's certain states where they do not joke around. Like the death penalty is real.
Oh yeah, especially Texas. Texas is very well known for that.
George Bush. This was an old record. I don't know if it's still.
There you go. You're not all by yourself, Will.
But George Bush killed more people as governor than any governor from when they had records. That was like an old wives' tale they used to tell about George Bush when he was the governor. So basically, if you were on death row and your name came across his desk, he would sign the papers.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Bush though. It's very sad that we got to a state as a nation where George Bush was looked at as a voice of reason.
No, I say this all the time. George Bush, the person, he's a nice guy. He's a bad president who was trying to bring on Armageddon. But
he's a terrible president. Don't get me wrong, but
if you met him face to face, he would shake your hand. George Bush right now is driving a pickup truck. Like George Bush goes around Texas waving at people. He's like a rock star. Donald Trump can never show his face without the Secret Service. Someone's gonna throw a milkshake, a soda at him, chili fries, Donald Trump.
Can somebody just throw a grenade and get it over with?
He's a disgrace. Sorry, Animal Science TV. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, that gets into the euthanasia arguments about, do people have the right to choose they would prefer to die than continue?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize. That would be a beautiful
Yes, they
thing.
do. Yes,
Yep.
they do. You know what? I've been meaning to host a stream on my own about this. I'm just going to say it now. Yes, humans do have the right to decide that, you know what, I want to go and I want to go on my terms
yeah.
and I want to go with some damn dignity. And I also believe that
I agree.
right to die legislation should be expanded to allow for cases where someone with psychiatric conditions, such as myself, for example, who have been through the ringer, tried everything, and it's just entirely too treatment resistant. Yes, there's the question of whether a death wish is in and of itself a symptom of the illness. I would say it depends, because there are people out there. There was actually a case in the Netherlands of a 29-year-old woman who realized that, she'd been through the ringer, she'd had enough, she was perfectly lucid, and just said, you know what, I've had enough. I've tried everything. There is clearly no helping me, and I would like my suffering to be over. And I believe they did euthanize her, and we need to have that option here in the United States. People shouldn't have to suffer through total psychological agony just because people think. Now, a transient death wish, yes, that does exist. Yes, people go through moments of suicidal ideation, they get help, and they recover, and that's fantastic. But there are people, and I'm one of them. I'm gonna flat out admit it. I'm one of them who I've been through the ringer. I've been on multiple different medications. I've been through therapies. I was actually, a little less than a year ago, I was actually deemed beyond all therapeutic help. Why don't I get an option? That's not fair.
No.
It should not be limited to only physical illness.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, suffering is suffering. It doesn't have to be physical pain.
Precisely. Emotional and psychological pain are just as valid.
No, I agree with you. I watched my my grandmother died at 99. She had dementia, but she all the time was like, "Why am I here? Why am I still here?" She turned into the grandpa from South Park because she couldn't be left alone after a while because she she couldn't handle being on Earth anymore. But my father had emphysema, and I watched him slowly die. Like that was torture because he was just drowning in his own lungs.
Watching Josh's mother pass away was similar to that. Her COPD eventually that's actually how she died. On the 28th, she went into cardiac arrest out of nowhere.
That's what happened to my dad. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened to my dad.
And Josh was actually the one to find her in the living room, face down on the floor. And I don't think he will ever not be traumatized from that. The amount of time that elapsed between the initial cardiac arrest event and when paramedics were able to restore blood flow and oxygen to her brain caused brain damage. The brain damage triggered seizures, which caused more brain damage, which triggered more seizures. And it was a loop. Her brain fried itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how she died.
Yeah.
And she did not deserve to go that way. And she had COPD. She had end-stage RSD, which is a nerve pain disorder. She was constantly suffering for the better part of 20 years.
That's why that's why I am pro being able to choose.
Yeah. And I certainly think that
option.
option has to be available, and I do believe in if somebody is saying they want to die, yes, I would support, that they talk things through with a therapist on more than one day to make sure this isn't just a temporary idea.
Exactly. You have to make sure it's not transient, of course. But if someone is completely lucid, no immediate crises or obvious distress triggers, and they're just saying, I've had enough, I've been through the ringer, please let me put an end to this, that does not automatically, the presence of a death wish does not an unsound mind make.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I would, think that they should talk to a therapist just to
Yeah.
make sure they have thought this through more than once.
I agree with that. I think that would actually prevent a lot of suicide and a lot of things in general.
It would also prevent a lot of botched suicide attempts. Because if someone was serious, they would have a safe way to do it. Just like that's why we have abortion laws. A woman who does not wish to be pregnant at that particular time has a safe way to do it.
Well, and it would be less traumatic to the family too, if they could know that this is what the person wanted, and if it could be done in a setting where at least the person can pass, peacefully.
Exactly. That's the thing. I mean, I've already thought about how I would want it to happen if I were granted that opportunity. I'd want to spend one last day with my daughter. I'd want to leave some stuff with my family to make sure that she knows it wasn't her fault and that I always loved her. I wouldn't want to do it with her there because that would screw her up, and I'm not going to do that to my kid. But
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'd want to, just have that in order, and then just
death in general. One of the reasons it's so deterred is because of religion.
Yeah.
They don't want you to harm yourself because they want you to be in their church. That's what it really comes down to.
Well, and a big part of particularly the Bible religions, is the idea of teaching the mass of peasants that while you may have a horrible existence here, if you do everything right, it will be better off after you're dead.
Exactly.
And then they have to turn around and keep people from rushing that.
So I could be wrong, but
the business day hasn't changed.
I saw a documentary on how, I want to say like in the 14th century or something, I could be way wrong, there was a group of individuals that would go around helping people kill themselves to meet Jesus. And the Catholic Church is the group who made suicide illegal.
Okay, I hadn't heard about that, but I had always wondered why there weren't groups like that through history.
Because there wasn't suicide wasn't illegal until like the 6th or 7th. I'm gonna look that up. It wasn't illegal until like the 6th or 7th century because there was a cult.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I would think that at any time period in history, there had to be some cults that were, doing that kind of thing. Telling people that, if you do such and such, we will give you the express ticket to heaven.
That was not getting in here. What I just had to try to get in here. I'm sorry, you look like a local, but BCA, you're not getting in here.
Well, I muted your mic when you started yelling, so we didn't hear the rest of it.
Oh no, I didn't like curse her out. I just basically told her where she could go that they would accept walk-ins because I'm not letting her in. Because that's one of those people that's going to play the day by day extension game. No, thank you. My boss no likey the day by day game.
We should probably. Huh?
Oh no, sorry. I was trying to look up the suicide cult. But if you're gonna end, by all means, don't let me stop you.
Yeah. I think we should probably wrap it up here for the night.
Just about 3 hours.
Yep. Anybody have any final thoughts?
Fuck my ex-husband?
To So all my new fans, I'll troll you later. We'll be going live on Saturday night, and I'll see you guys there. Jen's gonna,
Christ, this is
Jen's
going to
gonna
devolve
post it.
into a shit show.
No, I've today. Somebody has dedicated their entire day to me, and I feel honored. I have to highlight.
Should.
I've been trolled all day, and it is a beautiful thing. Thank you for the attention. Thank you.
Meanwhile,
Who knows, that might have been a
flower.
What's that, Doc? Oh, that's nice.
who knows, that might have been a puppy that didn't get kicked today because they were too busy messing with you.
It's really bad.
So you're doing a good service to puppy kind.
They were a puppy, all right.
Troll.
Oh, that is just,
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go around and do the shilling bit.
All right.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Fuck it.
Okay.
The only thing I've got to shill is on the sofa every Thursday, whatever 10 p.m. GMT is your time. Jump in. It's fun. If you like hearing commentary about US and UK news and an angry 28-year-old man screaming at Fortnite like an 8-year-old. That's all I got to say about that. And fuck my ex-husband.
Okay, Doc, you doing anything or just popping up at random?
I am not a content creator. I don't even own a computer. I just, like do incantations over a cauldron to be on here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just didn't know if you had any scheduled appearances in the next week.
Shit, I have no schedule, no agenda.
Come on,
I'm just lost in life.
Come on,
you're
just
right.
adrift.
We'd love to have you.
You're in the right place.
Okay, Will. Stream you were
Hi.
supposed to do tonight got moved to Saturday, so
Yeah, we will be streaming on Saturday evening. I have absolutely no time. I have no idea what time that's going to happen. So keep your eyes out on Twitter. And as always, wear a mask. Don't be a dick. And, keep trolling. Trolling.
What?
Yep, I just have my usual stuff, here Wednesdays at noon and Thursdays at midnight Central Time. And, Thursday evenings, I'm usually on with Will and Jen on their What the Fuck show. And Friday evenings, I'm usually on with the Shills.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been known to pop up on the What the Fuck show sometimes when I have time and I'm not too tired to function.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming. And with
And
that,
bye, Felicia.
good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you happen to be in the world.
TTFN.
Bye-bye.
Rock out with
Oh,
the clock
wait.
out.
No, pull your pants up, Will.
No, yeah. Almost forgot again. I'm terrible about this, but yes, I do need to thank my Patreon subscribers.
Ah, yes.
I never expected anyone would actually subscribe to me on Patreon. I created a page there just to reserve the name so nobody else used my name. But yes, I have. It's getting to be a list now. Vonrick, Junie the Apostate, Ox, Robert X, Mikey Famine, The Lavender Lady, and Greg Hartwick. So, yeah, I'm not going to be making any great amount of money, but, they're paying for the StreamYards and, perhaps future upgrades for my computer or that sort of thing.
That's awesome.
That's
Excellent.
great. I love that for you.
So,
What I
okay.
don't love is these Babicias haven't left.
Yep. So
Leaving
thank
your
you all.
car out front.
Okay, and good night, all.